about this time.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful. Give yourself a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely.
Where you going?
Nowhere.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
All right, what do you say we pop right into it? Hopefully YouTube's going to cooperate. I appreciate you guys joining me once again today. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Make sure you hit the like button. It's the least you can do on the way in, and subscribe to the channel. If you find yourself watching and liking what you're hearing on the way out, you can subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 15,000 subscribers. It would go a long way just to have your subscription. I really, really appreciate it. Lots to talk about today, but before we do that, let people filter in. I will say thank you to the chat. Thank you to the mods. I appreciate all of you guys for all the hard work that you do, all the time you spend not only in this chat, but in other chats, making sure that people can have, a good dialogue, good conversation in there without the fear of having somebody go over the top, let's say. So I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you so much to the people in the chat as well. Debbie, Dame Dog, I appreciate you. What's up, Nick? What's up, Mozart? Good to see you. What do you say, Laurie? How are you? What's up, Gamer? Shout out to Kentucky. Appreciate you guys down there as well. What up, Darcy? What's up, Yakov? What up, Spider over there on Twitch? Appreciate you guys. What up, James? What's up, Roxanne? You guys are amazing. Make sure you... Oh, Stargal, what's happening? I see you in there. What up, Debbie? All right. What up, El Rondo, Bridget, Flipper, Kristen? Appreciate you guys. All right. Let me bring in on just a little bit of what we'll be talking about tonight. I think we'll take... I don't know, maybe I'll give you a little bit of a break, at least on the shit show that is the ongoing Gaza mess, or the lack of ceasefire, we should call it, going on. But we got a ton to talk about, even above and beyond that. We got some racist Republicans that we'll be talking about. Let me put this on the screen for you guys. Some racist Republicans, and their text messages were leaked. Tim Pool is doing all he can to defend him. Matt Walsh is doing all he can to defend them as well. So we'll be taking a look at this Jesse Dollemore video, but I believe this is Garrison Hayes, if I'm not mistaken, stepping in for Jesse while he's on vacation. This just kind of breaks down a little bit of the story, a little bit better, probably a little bit, taking up a little bit less time than, if I were to kind of try to break it down for you guys. We also have Tim Pool and his cast of merry morons trying to defend the young Republicans over their group chat leak. Again, wait till you see what it says in these group chats, and then we can, again, try to discern whether or not it should be defended or not. And then what else are we going to be talking about? We'll also be talking about the $40 billion now Trump is potentially sending to Argentina, above and beyond the $20 billion he's already used to help bail them out. We'll be doing a little bit of deeper diving into what's going on here. I know there's a good Wall Street Journal video here. It was a quick one. It's only about 7 minutes. Gives a good rundown as to why Donald Trump is in this position, or putting the U.S. in their taxpayer money in this position. This is titled "Why Trump's $20 billion Argentina bailout may be doomed to fail." Now talking about another $20 million potentially, as Scott Bessent was saying here. We'll also be talking about and looking at a few clips from Donald Trump, where he pretty much again says what is usually said in a smoke-filled back room out loud here, where he's threatening to, commit election interference by saying that whoever comes in power next after Milei or in Argentina isn't going to get the best treatment. He's also threatening to withhold federal funding to New York City because of Mondani or something along those lines, even though he has no presidential power to do so. Meanwhile, again, he's sending $20 billion to Argentina, possibly $40 billion, while withholding federal funds to New York City and Americans. There's a few of these clips that I wanted to look at. This is where he's talking about not withholding federal funds to New York City. This is where he's talking about the CIA. We'll also get into Venezuela, because he's now authorized the CIA to start working inside Venezuela. We'll see what kind of authority he's given them. We now know that B-52's are out flying around as well. We got a couple questions from reporters on what kind of authority the CIA does have, so we'll get his answers. We also have this Preston Stewart video describing the American bombers, the B-52's that Trump has sent up, and the message that sends. What else? We got a lot to cover tonight. Putin and his tanks and his T-90 tanks, I should be more specific, didn't fare too well in their second round of an armored attack. They got just decimated by Ukrainian forces, so we'll be taking a look at that. Another Preston Stewart video here talking about that armors assault, as well as, if we have time, this Tim Pool basically talking about how he doesn't give a shit about free speech at all anymore. This is talking about the State Department revoking visas from people that were critical of Charlie Kirk or had, I guess, weren't showing enough, outpouring of emotion towards Charlie Kirk's death. And now they're being, sent out of the country, deported, and their visas being revoked. And I guess Tim Pool just doesn't give a shit. But that's only if we have time. I know we got a lot to get to. But what do you say we jump off on this story here? Everybody make sure you please hit that like button. It goes a long way. I know it may not seem like it does. It may just seem like a little gesture, but just that thumbs up and just, subscribing to the channel is huge. Tells YouTube a lot that you guys enjoy this, that you like coming back time and time again. You can also send a Venmo. There's Venmo up in the corner if you're looking to support independent media creators like myself that hide nothing behind a paywall, that don't try to sell you anything, that, aren't faking it and, actually taking $8,000 a month behind the scenes, like, maybe some other people that we've heard of recently. But other than that, I appreciate it. Let's get on to the show. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit that like button. Again, this is Garrison Hayes filling in for Jesse Dollamore on his channel. I believe Jesse went on vacation. And this is Garrison just kind of explaining this text message leak from the young Republicans. And again, they're not so young of Republicans when we actually dive deep down into it. Some of them, I think, are like 31, 32 years old. So we can kind of dispense of this young Republican bullshit. But what do you say we dive into this and we'll see how quick we can fly through these stories. Thank you so much again to the mods. And thank you so much to everybody showing up and hitting that like button. What do you say we dive into it?
Okay, this one is a doozy, folks. In a group chat where rising stars in the Republican Party, the ones who are and will be running campaigns, sitting on committees, making decisions, shaping policy, spending taxpayer dollars, these people are calling rape epic. They're using racial slurs. And
again, this is just a little snippet of some of the, let me see if I can get out of the way so you guys can see the text message. This is just a little snippet, you know what I mean? So already we got a great I love Hitler. You can see it here right in the middle of the screen. Again, there's a lot of anti-Semitic things. There's a lot of racist things. There's a lot of, I don't even know, violent, like sexually violent things in this. They even say themselves in this, if they were to be caught, if there's if this exchange were to be released, that they'd be in huge trouble. And that is, exactly what happened. And now everybody's trying to defend them like, this is supposed to be a normal way that people talk, especially inside of, some political party. But let them keep going here.
They're joking about slavery and fantasizing about putting their political enemies in gas chambers. I'm going to show you the messages right here, but I want you to recognize that they're saying the quiet part out loud. This is the Dollamore Daily. I'm guest host Garrison Hayes. More on me later on, but for now, let's dig in. Yesterday afternoon, Politico published their investigative deep dive into the
should have probably elaborated and said this all stems from a Politico article that was that released all of these text messages titled "I Love Hitler: Leaked Messages Expose Young Republicans Racist Chat." And again, you can see some of the examples of these. Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. The first one says, "What do we bring that? When do we bring that side out? You're giving nationals too much credit and expecting the Jew to be honest. Are you going to do whatever it takes? Great, I love Hitler. Also, we are officially under consideration for a Trump endorsement. I'm ready to watch people burn now. I'm gonna go to if wow, this one's good. I'd go to the zoo if I wanted to watch monkeys play ball. Clearly a racist trope on that one. If we ever had a leak of this chat, this is what I was talking about. If we had a leak of this chat, would be cooked for real, for real. When do we start bullying, dude? Boom, they're dead. Somebody said it was rape, and then somebody says that's epic. He'll go on to explain, but just to kind of give you a rundown, a little gist of what some of these messages said here.
Massive young Republican group chat leak, one that should shake the GOP's young Republican infrastructure to its core, right? Like
yeah,
donors
it should, but we're not in like a normal we're not in a normal timeline anymore. We're not in a normal political atmosphere where this would be like, an egregious affront and would be called out by both sides. And these people would be, expelled from whatever committees, whatever associations, whatever organizations they're a part of. That's not a thing anymore. Now it's just kind of, blame the other side, do whataboutisms, deflect, deny. That whole thing seems to get people a lot further nowadays than what we used to see back in. And it's crazy because Mel recently turned me on to The West Wing, which I wasn't privy to when it first came out. But we've been kind of remarking on the side watching it, and it's like it's crazy to see like the little friggin' mistakes that they're worried about, and the little little bits of rhetoric and how they kind of misspoke, and the little mistakes that the people working inside the White House was so worried about because they could lose their job, and it could cost other people their job. And now it's just like the atmosphere and the way people like go about the professionalism inside the White House, whether it be with the White House staff or the press corps, whatever it is, especially with the regime that's now in power. But it's just nobody gives a shit anymore. There's no care, there's no fucking class, there's no professionalism whatsoever. Like I said, deny, deflect, just whataboutisms, and that's the way that everybody just kind of flies through politics nowadays. And it's a real shame that we've actually devolved that far.
Should be pulling back. Elected officials should be falling all over themselves to condemn the folks in this chat, folks at the highest level. We should see them saying this was wrong. This isn't what we stand for. They should be appalled about what was said, not only here in this group chat, but what was said about other young Republicans in this group.
Oh, sorry, Al. What are you at the ER, brother? Sorry to hear that, dude. Sorry to hear that. Wishing you well. Hopefully you're out of there as quick as possible with as least pain as, at least the least amount of pain as possible too. So, but I appreciate you checking in from there. That's really awesome of you. I like I said, I hope you're doing well. Hope everything's okay. And I hope you're out of there lickety split.
Chat. And what appears to be a pervasive culture of bigotry in their ranks. All of that should be true. This should alarm them all, but I have this sneaking suspicion that it doesn't. And I think it is in large part because these people already know what they are. In fact, just
right, so
hours
we can all agree that this is like the least surprising thing, like the least surprising reveal, the least surprising leak of text messages. Like we could all pretty much consider in our heads, would be like, what's the least surprising thing that you could possibly think that these young Republicans would be saying in there, and like would probably come up with everything said in that fucking group text right there, right? So I mean, it's kind of crazy.
This investigation dropped. The Vice President of the United States of America, J.D. Vance, put this in a tweet. He tried to downplay,
and this is the same message that is in Tim Pool's his idiots that are trying to take over his show or do his show while he's not there. This is the same text message they put up by JD. And I remember this being talked about, but I'm not sure who this is actually referencing. Maybe Garrison will tell us here. But again, this is just an excuse by the Vice President of the United States so he doesn't have to call out people in his own party. Again, the whataboutism part of what the Republicans do in response to when they're called out. Instead of, take ownership, instead of, sit down and reflect on the things that were said and the people that are inside their party, they'd rather just kind of, again, do the whataboutisms, and they'd rather kind of make it seem like this is on some level the same thing here. But again, let's see if he does any more explaining to what this is, because I remember this from, I think, a week or two ago, but I'm not really familiar with the situation.
This bombshell reporting, this massive revelation, he tried to downplay it as a college group chat. But Governor Kathy Hochul was actually asked about this yesterday, and I want to play for you what she had to say, because I think
that
it's
seems
really
to be, and it's crazy how these fucking talking points, these like the rhetoric and the memos get around the right wing. Because check this out, because look at what Tim Pool said. Same exact thing. This is Tim Pool's tweet on the matter I found. I literally do not care what a bunch of MAGA college kids said in a group chat. Thank you, Yvonne. Holy shit. Thank you so much. That's fucking incredible. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Please make sure the 20 people getting those gifted memberships are thanking Yvonne. That's incredible. Thank you so much, dear. Thank you so much, dear. That's awesome. But yeah, it's like the talking points are sent out in the morning and everybody has to kind of just stick to those talking points, stick to the bullet points. But since when is 31 years old? What is he, fucking Van Wilder? Huh? What's he been in college for the last fucking 33 years of his life? Like, there's nobody going to get me to believe that this is some, like, random college chat of, like, just a bunch of bros and chads and brads out there, you know, sniffing a couple lines, hitting the fucking Adderalls too hard, maybe saying some dumb shit in a group chat. No, these people are fucking, like, and he'll go into it. Garrison will go into it. These people have, like, legitimate positions inside of the fucking Republican group. Let me see if I can fast forward here, where after what Kathy Hochul said. Yeah, right here. Because he goes into it. Let me put this back on the screen for you guys. Because he goes into just who these people are. And they're not fucking, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old fucking college kids that are just kind of, like I said, sitting there out at parties with like dumb text message chains out there. No, these people are fucking well involved and well connected inside of Republican politics at a lot of different levels. So check this out. Hey, what's that say? Orvalib? Hello, Orvalib. I appreciate you joining us. Nice to see you. Same thing with Reb Dem, Darcy, Kerosene Kara, Veronica. Nice to see you guys. What's up, Paul? What's up, Spider? Appreciate you guys. Hit that like on the way in if you don't mind.
We're in there joking about some of the most despicable things imaginable. Among the folks in this group chat are folks like Peter Giunta, who is the former New York State Young Republican leader.
Former New York State Young Republican leader. Former. And, judging by that fucking hairline, I'm sorry. That hairline ain't telling me that he's a college kid. Those fat ass cheeks and that ridiculously receding hairline ain't screaming college kid. And I'm sorry, but I'm not fucking sorry. That's looking like, this guy's damn near 50 if you had to fucking make me guess. But again, just to let you know, we're the vice president and Tim Pool, like, I don't care what these college kids. He looks like the fucking college professor. Looks like he ate the fucking college. He ain't going to fucking, looks like he's at, what's the hair shit? Rogaine. It looks like he's going to the University of Rogaine and failed out miserably.
There's Bobby Walker, who's vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans.
Okay, now, this kid, if you want to, maybe this kid you can get me to believe has like some affiliations with like still being at the college level, but still, he's still affiliated with the New York Young Republicans, probably has a fucking high-ranking position or what they consider a high-ranking position.
I'm GOP operative and aide to State Senator Peter Oberacker.
Oh, he's even an aide to a state rep. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Because I'm sure it's not like the shit that he's hearing from the state rep that he works for that probably focused his fucking thoughts on all this, right? That made him kind of lean, come down on this side of the aisle as far as this position is concerned. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the guy that he works for.
I have a gentleman by the name of Samuel Douglas, who's
Here's the next elementary school, middle school, college kid. Apparently, this kid, who, again, looks like he's about fucking turning 44 next year, started about 3 online businesses and had 4 of them fail somehow. That's what, I don't know. Again, college kids, if you want to listen to J.D. Vance.
Vermont state senator, there are calls for him to step down. He's named in the chat. You have Breonna Douglas, who is the spouse of State Senator Samuel Douglas.
The spouse of State Senator Samuel. So is State Senator Sam Douglas or whatever the fuck, is he dating college girls? JD? Maybe we should run that by JD, because apparently these are all college kids involved. So if this is a college kid involved, we should probably ask the senator why he's dating a college girl. Maybe run that by him.
So appears in this chat and is getting some backlash from the Vermont GOP. You have a person by the name of William.
What in the fuck is that? Jesus Christ.
Hendricks, who is the vice chair of the Kansas Young Republicans, who is particularly fond of
here we go. This is some of the stuff that he said in the past. So this is Willie Hendricks here. The Kansas Young Republicans vice chair uses the word N-word and N-word, variations of the racial slur, more than a dozen times in the chat. More than a dozen times. Yeah, you're 100% right. There hasn't been a fucking titty scene between the fucking 5 or 6 people mentioned. in the entire lifespan of all of these people. Not a single titty has been seen by either of these fucking assholes.
The N-word. Alex Dwyer, chair of the Kansas Young Republicans, also identified as participating in this chat, after which you will notice if you go onto Twitter or X and look at the Kansas Young Republicans, they've deactivated the state party's account.
Now, why would they do that if there's nothing wrong, if there's nothing that they want to hide in that chat, if there's nothing that they're ashamed of, if everything's above board and professional, like JD Vance wants you to get, wants you to believe, like it's nothing to worry about, just a bunch of college kids. Like, if that's so, why are these people like eliminating their Twitter accounts? It just as soon as this Politico article came out and they were, found to have had some involvement in it. It's funny how that happens, but nothing, didn't really do anything, but let's just nuke the whole fucking account.
Last I checked. And one thing that you got to kind of point out is that they kind of have a look, don't they? You know what I mean?
Like, I've never had or felt the touch of a woman type of look. That's what I get. I mean, that's just, with that haircut, that is like, get me, can I please have whatever haircut will make the women run away from me the quickest? Because as you can see, I'm not the fastest person, so they'll be the safest then. That's when they're at their safest, is when they're running away from me. Good God. Anyway.
Nah, not too much. Not too much. I want to actually read for.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he goes into the text messages here, just in case you're seeing, just in case you're curious as to what else was said here.
For you, a few of the exchanges that Governor Hochul was referring to, ones that stood out to me. The first one comes when someone says this. They say the Spanish came to America and had sex with every single woman. To which one person responds, sex is gay. To which another person chimes in, referring to this kind of Spaniards coming to America. This person says,
these definitely seem like the Groyper type of kids, like the Nick Fuentes loving type of crowd, where they're just fucking at odds with women. They're at odds with fucking everybody. They're just, come on, hit me with the term. There's a term for these assholes. I just can't think of it right now. Who are these assholes? They're like all fucking, they claim to be abstinent, but it's because no women will ever go near them. The Groypers, and they have like some, I don't know, there's a term for it. It's not very, yes, incel. Thank you so much, Veronica. Appreciate that. Yeah, they're all, doesn't it sound like the incel Groyper crew? Like sex is gay, something they'd say, like, I'm not getting any sex, so let's make fun of people that are having sex. Like, let's make fun of guys that are, possibly having social interactions with women, but, let's call it gay in the group chat because we're not getting any and we'll all laugh at that. But that's really not even the strange part of it. The strange part of it, and what Garrison is going to highlight, is where somebody says sex ? And then they say, no, it was rape. And then the next reply on that is epic. Now, I forget what these assholes' names are. Oh, we can say here. So Bobby Walker must be BW. LM must be Luke Moissaman. AD is Alex Dwyer. So looks like Bobby Walker responds with an epic to the suggestion that the Spanish were raped or that women were raped. You know what I mean? But it gets worse.
X ? It was rape. To which Walker allegedly responds, epic. But it's actually this last one that really stood out to me, and I think ties into the larger issue with what we see happening in this chat among this next generation of leadership in the GOP that I think we should really be paying very close attention to. There's one person in the chat who said this: if your pilot is a she and she looks 10 shades darker than someone from Sicily, just end it there. Scream the no word. This was from.
Now, does that sound like something similar to what Charlie Kirk said in the past, when Charlie Kirk said that, he doesn't feel comfortable, he'd rather not, he doesn't want to get on a plane in which he knows it's being piloted by, black pilots? Isn't that similar to what Charlie Kirk said? It's funny how, that's that bullshit, that fucking racist rhetoric seemed to have filtered down to the exact people that Charlie Kirk, pointed his rhetoric at. These Turning Point assholes that have probably been affiliated and involved with Turning Point and Young Republicans since they had the fucking first hair in their nut. Again, look at the kid on screen. His hairline screaming 55. You know what I mean? It's just, you can tell these people have been involved for a long time, and I I can't help but notice how much alike that sounds like to what Charlie Kirk has said in the past about flying on planes.
Peter Giunta, who is the former chair of the New York State Young Republicans, according to Politico's reporting, which reminded me those words. If you see somebody in the cockpit, if you're a pilot,
I think he goes on to make the same point here.
it looks like this, then you should have this response. It reminded me of something else I'd seen before. Watch this.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
That sound familiar to you too? The truth is that this stuff is
No, I didn't watch it this long. I promise. It's just great minds think alike. So Garrison, I appreciate it. But I think you kind of get the idea and the gist of this. We'll actually go on to this video here, and if we have time, we might be able to dive back into the Garrison Hayes if we want to see. I don't know if he does. I don't think he brings up any more of the specific text messages on there. Just kind of gives his insight. So we'll kind of dive into where Tim Pool's assholes, the people trying to run his show now, have this video that they've put out. And I saw because, the tweet that I just showed you from Tim Pool, I knew because he put this tweet out here saying, I literally do not care what a bunch of whatever MAGA means, college kids said in a group chat. I knew that either he or somebody from his channel was absolutely going to put out a video on this, and I was 100% right because about what is this, 4 hours ago now, they put out this video. JD Vance defends young Republicans over group chat leak. Cancel culture is over. And this kid, again, I believe the kid on the right here is another member of the Young Republicans trying to defend or at least deflect away from this text message chain, especially after what we just heard. Had all the anti-Semitism, had all the sexual violence and like lust for that violence, had all the bigotry, racism, homophobia that you'd like. So let's just see how these guys, these assholes on Tim Pool's Timcast IRL, go on and see how they can how they try to defend against this real quick. And we'll only get into a couple minutes because I think the first bullshit they talk about is JD Vance's tweet, which Garrison just brought up. So we'll see if we can fly through this, and then we'll get on to a few more of our other stories. We'll go to Venezuela, we'll go to Argentina, we'll go to Ukraine. We're going all over the world after this. So please stick around, hit that like button. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Let's hear what these fucking considerably white morons have to say. Is there anything? It's probably a good time for this. These considerably white morons. We should probably play something like this.
Is there anything worse than white people? White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones.
Hey, I didn't say it. That's Tucker. Blame Tucker. I didn't say it. Here we go. Let's check it out.
Way in a double standard environment where the left is able to get away with just about everything that they do wrong.
So again, deflection right off the bat in an interview where he's coming on here trying to discuss, his thoughts, his opinions on this text message release. The first thing he does is try to say that the left can get away with everything and that the right is like over-blamed, over-accused, wrongly accused, unjustly accused, taken out of context. Like it's always something with these fucking pricks. They are so the snowflakes are fucking piling up as the minute goes by. These people, it's fucking crazy. Check this out.
Right, are constantly monitored with a microphone.
The right's constantly monitored with a microphone. I think he meant magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass.
There you go. There it is.
When that double standard exists, the last thing you want to do is cave in and give that double standard any more legitimacy.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is actually recognize when some people in your group are being outwardly racist, outwardly bigoted, outwardly, violent against women. Again, any number one of the things that we've released in those text messages or were released in those text messages. Of course, you can't just come out and say, that's wrong. We shouldn't be doing that because then you admit defeat. Then you just come out and admit to everybody that you have racist people in your community, in your party, in your fucking movement that you have going on. So you can't possibly do that. So you have to deflect, dodge, what about, which is exactly what they do. Same thing that JD Vance did here.
It's time for Republicans to start playing hardball.
Hey everyone, I am your host Tate Brown here, holding it down for Tim Pool. We have a big story here, an exclusive story from Politico. Leaked messages.
Who wants a shout out? Give a shout out? Paul, I'll give you a shout out. I don't know if you meant you, but shout out to Paul. Appreciate you, brother.
German painter here. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat.
All right, did you see that? Did you see what he didn't say? Let's go back a second. Let's Politico. Let's read the headline here together. We'll read it together. Politico exclusive. I love Hitler. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. Now let's hear him read it and see what he has to say.
Big story here, an exclusive story.
And
from
remember,
Politico.
they're on Rumble, the free speech platform. They can say whatever they want, so there's no excuse for him to try to, I don't know, come up with another word for this. But listen to what he says.
Go. Leaked messages. I love German painter here. Leaked messages expose.
I love German painter here, he says. Is it like, I don't know, if you love the guy, you can't call him Hitler? You have to call him German painter? Like, how does that work? Like, is that like some TikTok thing where you can't say gun, you got to say like boom, boom, or fucking something stupid like that? I don't understand. Like, what is this? You can't. I love German painter? Who the fuck thinks that this guy is a German painter? That's how you think of him? Like, that's how the people in your crew are going to be like, oh, yeah, I know. The German painter? Yeah, I know German painter. Like, not even like the little mustache guy or like, I don't know, something that most people would think. I don't know. Just weird to hear him try to not say the word Hitler, but try to say German painter, like say German painter instead, as like because the guy's a G and you don't want to like demean him by calling him what, the people on the left call him,
Young Republicans' racist chat. Look, this is a real shocker. I know Zoomers are a little edgy, right? Their group chats are a little rough around the edges.
Zoomers are a little edgy. They're a little rough around the edges. Is that what you get out of those? Rough around the edges? Good. I'm glad you're not playing these down. I'm glad you're not defending these in any way, and I'm glad you're not justifying this kind of behavior from the people in your own group. Oh, wait, that's exactly what you're doing? Oh, okay. All right.
Total shocker. It's absolutely no one. But they dropped this yesterday, and the reaction has been wild. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders.
And what they're actually mad about, they're not mad about the leak. They're not mad about what was said. They're actually mad that some Republican GOP members or, some prominent people on the right have come out against what was said here or have said, that, have condemned some of the things said in this group text, right? And they're mad. These assholes are actually mad that the right is attacking the right, as they say in this message, which is wild.
About a variety of things. This was a Telegram chat.
Again, do you see that? About a variety of things. Won't even say what it's about. Ready? Listen.
Yesterday, and the reaction has been wild. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about a variety of things.
A variety? Is that what it says, guys? I could have sworn it said just something different. I could have sworn it says GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. Is that not what it says? That's what I'm reading. Here, let me get out of the way. I know I'm in the way for some of you guys. Just, can you read that? Let me see. I'll give you a second. Give me a second in the chat. I'll give you a second to read that. Is that what it says? Does it say a number of things? I wonder, is there a reason why he wouldn't want to read those words to his chat, to people that may be listening, right? Is there a reason he maybe want to obfuscate from that point? Maybe not divulge what was actually being, quote unquote, joked about? In this case, listen to how he says it again. One more time.
Messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about a variety of things.
A variety of things, including what, my friend? Including what? Can you give us give us any number of examples?
This was a Telegram chat that was leaked yesterday. I'm sure you've seen
No. Please do go on and read it. Because it says leaders of young Republicans group throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked. But they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. Let's see if we can go on. Let's see if I can try to catch it where he's... They talked about... Let's see.
Of things.
Yeah, here we go. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide and lauded Republicans who believed they support slavery. Let's keep going.
This was a Telegram chat that was leaked.
Yep. I'm surprised he doesn't read any of that to his fans. I'm surprised are you guys surprised that he skips the majority of what was said in this article?
Yesterday, I'm sure.
Let's see here. William Hendricks, the Kansas City vice chair, used the words N-word and N-word, a variation on that more than a dozen times in the chat. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans, at the time referred to rape as epic. Peter Giunta, who at the time of the chair was the chair of the same organization, wrote in a message sent in June that everyone votes no is going to the gas chamber. Giunta was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chair of the Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's 15,000 member whatever. And somebody asked, somebody I saw it go by. Somebody said joking with a bunch of question marks. And I think they're only saying that because of, let me see if I can find this. Matt Walsh response. What do I do? Young Republicans, maybe? Bear with me for a second, because I think they're only saying joking because of what Matt Walsh said. Republicans. Excuse me if that pulls it up. See if I can find this. Matt Walsh. Let's see, I might just have to find him. What's his dumbass name on here? There it is. See if I can find it, because he says something about similar to what JD Vance was saying, trying to say this was a bunch of college kids and that they were only joking and they were being facetious. And here's Vance. He has something to say on it. He was what? Let's see what this is.
Yes, but there's focusing on what.
Shut up. Let me go by, play this whole thing. I'm just curious what he has to say here.
By focusing on what kids are saying in a group chat, grow
up. Kids. Apparently he hasn't seen pictures of these motherfuckers. Somebody should really get this guy a couple pictures of these kids he's talking about, right? Because he's got more fucking hair than all of them.
I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. But there's another angle to this that I just have to be honest about. I mean, I'm like an old guy at this point. I'm 41 years old. I have 3 kids.
Literally only 10 years older than one of the members that were in that group chat, as far as I can recall.
I grew up in a different world, right? Where not most of the stupid things that I did when I was a teenager and a young adult, they're not on the internet.
No, but you calling Donald Trump Hitler is. That's on the internet, my man. That's on the internet for everybody to see. Fuck. How did I get out of this? All right, so I'm trying to find his response to this. My apologies. Bear with me. And I think this will kind of give you a reason, or at least an example as to why everybody's. Let's see here. Yep, this is where he's talking about that same thing. Let's see here. Left actually wants me down. They want us down. No, it's funny to me when people are calling it grifter. No, let's see. Gotta be around here somewhere. Basically, he just says that they're kidding. I also point out that I meant to say that's 8 hours ago. If you actually read that political hit piece, you'll see that many of the messages are being taken wildly. Yeah, this is it right here. So this is what Matt Walsh had to say. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. How's that? A little better? If you actually read that political article hit piece, you'll see that many of the messages are being taken wildly out of context, like there's any fucking context for anything that we just read. For example, the guy who said "I love Hitler" was clearly being sarcastic. It's explicitly meant to be a sarcastic joke, and yet Politico put that quote in the headline of the article, and conservatives are lining up to offer denunciation. See, they're more mad about the conservatives that are coming out than the actual leak. How in the hell is anyone on the right still falling for this trick? How have you not learned by now not to take anything how to take absolutely nothing from the leftist media at face value, especially if it's blatant political, even if it's a blatant political hit piece. And that goes back to what Tim Pool was saying, because Tim Pool also had another tweet that he put out where he again was more mad at the leakers and the people that were telling on the people in the group chat than what was said in the group chat as a whole. But I think that's kind of why, because I saw it go by in the chat, somebody was kind of like asking why they were saying joking kind of, and I think that's why they were saying here, where he's trying to say they're being sarcastic. He says that he also goes on to say that he has like theocratic fascist in his bio. And points to that as like another example of them being kind of like cute and funny. But again, not cute or funny by any stretch of the imagination. But let's see if there's anything else to be gleaned from these assholes here.
I'm sure you've seen the article by now.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the article. No need for me to dive into it, guys. No need for me to read any of these words, any of the examples, any of these text messages that were leaked. I'm sure you've seen it by now. I'm sure you've done all your reading and all the homework and all the research before you came to watch the Tim Pool fucking IRL show.
Reaction from a lot of people in the GOP has been condemnation, firing. It's basically just cancel culture rehashed. Meanwhile, on the left, you have Jay Jones.
And for somehow Dilbert's little brother here doesn't agree that that's like something that should be happening. Like nobody should be condemning this. Nobody should be fucking calling this out. I mean, I'm kind of curious. And then they bring up this text message again. Well, this tweet by JD Vance. And again, I'm not familiar with this specific situation, who JJ is, what this person's involvement is with politics or anything like that. But I don't think it would be that hard to say that we don't want to see people's children end up dying so that they could feel pain and shit. I don't think that's very difficult for any one of us to say. But again, I don't know what this bullshit is, but we can get off of this and on to our next story, because I don't think they're going to say anything. Oh, let's bring in just 2 seconds of this other asshole. Look at this other asshole from the Young Republicans. Let's listen to 1 second of his bullshit.
A overwhelming majority of the college Republican chapters around the country. And then currently I'm the chairman of the Ohio College Republican Federation, which oversees all the college Republican chapters in the state of Ohio. So
you must be popular. You must be fucking a doozy to hang out with on the weekends. I'm sure you like to have a shitload of fun, huh? Whoa, man. I'm sure the girls are just, you're fucking swatting them away from you, brother. I'm sure you just can't get enough of the social scenes. Everybody just wants to be your friend as you're fucking recruiting on Friday nights racist people in the KKK fucking youth groups.
And I've been working with a lot of different groups before, and
any of them wearing white hoods by any chance? Just out of curiosity, do they burn crosses? Any of those organizations that you've been working for?
Trying to get young people engaged and fight back against the left on our campuses.
Totally. Well, that's great. Well, thanks for hopping on. Before we get into the reactions to the Politico article, can we first get your reaction? What was your reaction yesterday when this article got dropped into your desk? What did you think?
Well, the first thing that I really noticed right off the bat was it's just another instance in the pattern of left-wing journalism that...
I'm sorry, the first thing you noticed wasn't the N-words, wasn't the, rape is epic, wasn't the, we should put people in gas chambers, wasn't the I love Hitler. That wasn't the first thing that caught your eye. It was, this left-wing hit piece from Politico. Yeah, that known left-wing media fucking company, Politico,
isn't really focused on enlightening people. It isn't really focused on helping people understand the facts and understand the truth.
The facts are that you guys are racist, bigoted pieces of shit. And the truth is what we saw in those text messages, and it's the journalist's job to expose anybody involved in politics nowadays that might espouse these type of beliefs, because we don't want those people in power. We don't think that those people should see themselves rise in society. I don't believe those people should be, afforded any fucking power whatsoever, regardless if it's in government or otherwise. But that's just me. But that's just a couple reasons.
More focused on painting the Republicans as evil, more focused on getting a political agenda across. And in this case, that political agenda is all Republicans are Nazis, fascists, racists, whatever.
You know what? You guys did one fucking hell of a job in this group chat of disproving that theory, didn't you? Huh? Didn't they do a hell of a job, ladies and gentlemen, of disproving that theory? I mean, if there's ever been a fucking text message chain release that disproves the theory that, Republicans, some, maybe a lot, are racist, bigoted, homophobic pieces of shit, then I don't know. It's definitely this chain. This one expunges that fucking record. You guys are free and clear now. Nobody is going to think you guys are racist or bigoted or anything after this. You guys are good. Way to go, Chief. Fucking hell.
This is from Midas Touch and the governor. Trump wants to launch live fucking missiles from a ship in the ocean into Pendleton over the weekend. Live fucking missiles.
Mel's enraged. She's incensed right now because there's a report. Right. There's a report that she sent me saying that Governor Newsom's office confirmed that Midas Touch is working with local partners to minimize what would be a massive disruption and reckless disregard for California's infrastructure and communities. Apparently, Trump is wanting to launch active missiles or missiles into Pendleton. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it. I'm not 100% sure. I know.
You've got to fucking be kidding me. Oh my, I can't even. Sorry.
Trump may launch, it says Midas Touch exclusive, Trump may launch missiles from warships into California this Friday and Saturday as part of what is being described as, quote, vanity parade and shut down portions of the I-5 during the No Kings protests. What in the fuck in hell? All right, we'll see if we can dive into that after this. What in the fuck? I don't know, I'm not even sure what to make of that one. I'm not even sure what to make of that. Was fucking ridiculous and crazy, even for that guy. All right, let's see if we can move on because enough of these morons. Let's see if we can move on to our next subject, which is going to be the $40 billion that Donald Trump is now reportedly willing to send to Argentina. This is a Bloomberg television clip here that just kind of gives us a little rundown. It's only about 2 minutes and 46 seconds long. About the reports that Scott Bessent has been talking about new ways in which they could send another $20 billion on top of the other $20 billion they've already sent somehow without giving any real details on where that's and how that's actually getting across. But this is all as United States farmers in this country are absolutely reeling. Not only that, but China and Argentina now have a little deal going on for their soybeans and shit, right? Which only does more damage to the United States fucking soybean industry and the farmers that grow soybeans in this country. So they're getting fucking porked on both ends here. So again, we've talked about this on the show before. We played you here some of the clips from the outraged farmers that are now, calling this shit out, at least some of them. But yeah, it continues, and he's even looking to double it. I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was on MSNBC. I think Brian Tyler Cohen had a couple clips on it where, this farmer was really incensed about the $20 billion that had already gone to Argentina because of how much he and his farmers and his co-workers were all hurting and needed the help and assistance here, right? So let's see how they're actually just doubling down on the pain and suffering they're causing to United States farmers. Let's see what we get into here. Appreciate it.
There are media outlets reporting that Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, has outlined financial aid to that country that would total $40 billion. For more, let's bring in Bloomberg's Mike McKee. Mike, from what we understand, are there conditions tied to this? Are there strings attached to up to $40 billion of aid from the United States?
And what's striking to me, and again, we're watching Bloomberg television. This isn't some a left-wing political news station that doesn't really know about finances, doesn't know about how, aid and, transfers between governments and countries work, right? This is Bloomberg, and it's scary and it's crazy and it's enraging just how little they know about what's going on, how little they know about what's being pulled from where and, what's being used in order to get these funds to Argentina. Check this out.
To Argentina?
Well, the administration hasn't made a whole lot clear about any of this yet, Scarlett. We don't even know about the original $20 billion, whether it's a true.
They don't even know they don't even know what's going on with the first $20 billion, right? He's about to say they don't know what that's a part of, how that's fucking come to fruition. What? Never mind the second $20 billion.
Swap line where they give us pesos and we lend them dollars and then we exchange them back eventually. And now Scott Bessent is talking about a $20 billion private fund made up of individual investors and he says sovereign wealth funds that
now,
would.
Who in their fucking right mind is going to invest $20 billion in Argentina, a country that's basically famous now for reneging on their loans, right? Not paying back the money that they've borrowed, owing the IMF. Blowing through just buku dollars. Who the fuck is going to line up? What private investors are lining up to invest $20 billion in Argentina with fucking Javier Milei at the helm?
Be interested in buying Argentine debt or making investments in Argentina. That's all we know at this point. And of course, the idea of somebody spending $20 billion to buy bonds in Argentina, given Argentina's track record of paying it back, they already owe billions, tens of billions to the IMF, seems a little fanciful. So we're not exactly sure how all of this is going to work.
Great, awesome. I'm glad I tuned into fucking Bloomberg News to figure that one out. Glad you could give us the fucking, and it's not his fault. I should say I don't mean to put it on them because if they're not getting any details, if they're not getting any information from Bessent or this administration, then it's tough for them to put anything together as well. But doesn't this just go to show how they're doing things in the dark? They're doing things blindly. They're not following fucking, normal procedures that nobody knows what the fuck's going on anymore. Who's going where? We're building a $200 million ballroom. We're sending $40 billion here. Meanwhile, weren't the Republicans complaining about the money being spent on weaponry trying to defend Ukraine? Wasn't that a huge talking point, a huge point of fucking concern for the? Has anybody said anything about this $40 billion Anybody said anything about the 200 million going to the ballroom instead of going to the farmers? And these farmers even said, we don't want the handout. We don't want the fucking subsidies. We don't want this aid. We want, a fully functioning economy that allows us to make the money that we know that we can work hard and bust our ass to make every single day, right? We don't want this fucking handout like we got in the first administration that Trump was involved in when he fucked he screwed the whole pooch with China in their, 3-part deal that they didn't even get through one part of that deal, right? Kind of like their ceasefire, kind of like the Gaza peace plan. Yeah, hasn't even gotten through fucking phase 1 yet.
I'm so glad you bring up Argentina's track record of paying back loans, or perhaps it's spotty track record here. Why is the U.S.
spotty at best? Again, just begs the question: why the fuck would any private investors put in $20 billion for a country that already owes the IMF billions of dollars and has a track record of doing everything but the right thing when they receive money and they receive a loan? Why?
Under President Trump, who, of course, has put forward this America First mandate, so invested in Argentina and its economy?
It's a real mystery to an awful lot of people because the Argentines have had a very bad track record, as you note, in paying back loans. They've defaulted any number of times, and there's some thought that they're not on the right path right now. They've got an election coming up.
And I believe he actually says in here that the United States actually stepped in recently to help the peso, to help the yields here. I think he goes on to mention this here that I'm not sure many people know about.
If President Milei's party doesn't get a big enough vote in the legislative elections, then he's not going to be able to push through his reforms. And the president says that.
And we got more on that, too. More on whether Trump is ready to see anybody other than Javier Milei take office, and whether or not he's going to continue to assist any Argentinian that does take office if it's not Milei. And we'll get into a clip of that because, again, just seems like more election interference being perpetrated by our government, by our United States government, the president, to make sure that his fucking buddies, the people that he's throwing money back and forth with, stay in power in their respective countries. But we'll get to that.
We're not going to give him any aid at all. That sent the peso back lower, and the U.S. intervened in currency markets again today, Scott Besson said.
The U.S. intervened in currency markets to make sure that the pesos didn't fall behind, below a certain point or whatever they do there. But let's see if he goes on, because there's one more. There's this good, just 2 seconds more of this, then we'll go into this Wall Street Journal video, which kind of gives a good layout as to why Trump may be taking these, doing this investment, putting this money inside of Argentina. We'll take a look at that right after this. Let's see what else he goes on to say.
Said. But why? That's a really good question. A lot of Americans are asking that question, particularly farmers, because China's been buying Argentine soybeans instead of U.S. soybeans, and that's one of the reasons the soybean farmers are in trouble.
So you hear that? China's buying Argentinian soybeans as opposed to United States soybeans, which is, again, causing further damage, doing more damage to the United States farmers, which, again, is only better for Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, who, again, have that acre trader that we've been talking about on this podcast that is set to fucking scoop up any of these farmers, any of these fucking lands that they possibly can when these companies or these farmers and these corporations go out of business inevitably because of the hurt that is being put upon them by this administration, as far as tariffs, as far as, again, this with the soybeans, again, with funding Argentina instead of the fucking putting funds towards, things in this country that could be meaningful.
Don't really know. There's some speculation that what's happened is a lot of U.S. hedge fund managers who are friends with Scott Besson bought up Argentine debt on the cheap, anticipating that maybe there would be a turnaround there and they could make some money on it.
Wow, wouldn't you know it? It just so happens that, some of the speculation is that friends of Scott Besson, friends with a shitload of money, just so happen to get the know, just so happen to get the word, the inside knowledge that they could go ahead and scoop up some of the Argentinian debt. Just as they know that, I don't know, maybe Scott Besant and Donald Trump have been talking about, I don't know, doing deals with Argentina, which may be revamping or trying to revamp their economy, which would allow them to make a shitload of money on the debt that they bought at a cheap rate, right? So more corruption, more insider knowledge, more bullshit coming from this fucking corrupt administration. But again, let's see if we can dive into this video here. This is a quick one too, not very long, kind of gives a good depiction as to why. And I know a lot of people are like, why the hell is he doing this? Let's see if this Wall Street Journal video can give us a little bit more information.
He's MAGA all the way. It's make Argentina great again.
President Trump has announced a $20 billion deal to rescue Argentina.
And remember, this was made before the second $20 billion was announced.
Some America First supporters and U.S. farmers.
The problem here is that the U.S. is entering into a situation that it has no exit strategy for.
So what has Trump actually agreed to, and how does it work?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
To understand the deal, you need to know who this is. Argentinian President Javier Milei, a chainsaw-wielding...
And that's the concert that Javier Milei threw just after receiving the first $20 billion. He decided to, I don't know, rent out a fucking entire stadium to throw himself a concert, which, you know, all countries do when they are in desperate need of $20 billion from another nation. It's just the thing you do, I guess.
Anarcho-capitalist elected in 2023. MAGA loves him as much as he loves MAGA.
Javier Milei was an economist. He was a TV pundit who had really very little public experience. But he came to office and he ran for office promising radical change to a country that had spent decades with economic turmoil.
Monthly inflation peaked at over 25%. Almost half of the country was in poverty. Argentinians had decided they had nothing to lose and voted Milei in.
When he took office, one of the kind of slogans of Javier Milei is that no hay plata, there's no money. So he just began to really slash public spending, drastically reduce the number of public works.
So that's where the chainsaw, I think, comes into effect, where, you know, like his whole thing is he's going to come in and he's going to slash public spending. He's going to slash this and he's going to slash that to cut back on the spending in the government. So I guess that's where that chainsaw bullshit comes in, right?
Workers closed ministries and halted basically all public works projects as well.
Argentina always makes these promises and then it never follows through. But Milei followed through. And so capital flows came back to Argentina. Investors came back to Argentina.
And Argentina needs those dollars because its economy is unique. It has its official currency, the peso, but people also widely use the US dollar to set prices and especially to save because no one trusts that the peso will keep its value.
After initially devaluating the peso, he wanted to keep actually a stronger peso in order to help bring down inflation. He was
right. So this talks about the manipulation of the market. This talks about Javier Milei trying to, again, manipulate the dollar, manipulate the peso in order to make it look like his country's doing better than it is, more prosperous than it is, and it ends up biting him in the ass.
Successful in that regard.
To do so, Milei first used a so-called crawling peg, where he steadily devalued the peso every month, and later a currency band, where he kept it from falling outside of this floor and ceiling.
A lot of economists say that's not sustainable because you need to have ample central bank reserves in order to defend the peso.
If things turn sour for the government, investors are going to test your ability to maintain that exchange rate control.
From the start, Milei faced protests against his spending cuts, and many are disillusioned by bribery accusations against his top aides, including his closest confidant, his sister Karina.
So his sister already been accused of fucking heavy bribery. You know, the people are already protesting right when he got into office because of these cuts, because of the rollbacks, because of they slashed public spending, they slashed public works, the construction projects, everything.
With the economy faltering too, Milei's party faced significant losses in local elections in early September.
He didn't have a strong political party when he took office, so he depends a lot on the public support in order to advance his reforms. So once you kind of lose that support, then there's a lot of concerns about
this is where it starts going south, and I'll even fast forward to where Trump decides to put in his aid right here. Ready?
Enter Donald Trump.
To the people of Argentina, we're backing him 100%. We think he's done a fantastic job.
In late September, the Trump administration offered a stunning show of support, floating a $20 billion economic aid package.
The fact that the U.S. decided to act in this situation in a very bluntly political way was surprising.
Your poll numbers, I hear, are pretty good, but I think they'll be better after this.
The announcement immediately calmed markets in Argentina, but backfired.
So you can see the effect that it had, right? It had the appropriate effect for Argentina. Ready? Check it.
in the U.S.
So I get up one morning, I turn the news
This
on.
is the guy that I'm talking about. This is the guy that I'm talking about. I hadn't watched it this far. I'm glad they put this in here. Let me put this in. This is the guy that was originally a farmer. Obviously, he says here, Arkansas farmer, last name farmer, I should say. So pissed off that he's not getting any assistance, that he's not getting any looks his way as far as this administration is concerned. But Argentina's getting $20 billion. So now, guess how this guy must feel now after he's heard about the next $20 billion.
And you get $20 billion of taxpayer money to my competition.
The same day Trump floated a bailout, Milei announced a suspension of export taxes on most grains. And China, which has not bought any American soybeans this year, purchased millions of metric tons of the crop from Argentina. Some Democrats also accuse the administration of intervening to help wealthy American investors.
Besson's pals have bought up Argentina's debts. And if Argentina goes down, those Wall Street billionaires could lose a lot of money.
That's exactly what we just heard. That's exactly what we just heard. The fact that Scott Besson's fucking hedge fund buddies bought up all of this fucking Argentinian debt at a low price. Now that we have to, it's almost like we have to continuously keep them afloat in order to help and make sure that Scott Besson's buddy don't lose their ass, don't lose their shirt in their little fucking investments that they made in the Argentinian debt. So now they're playing this game where they have to fucking like float this. They have to keep this government afloat at least until they get their money back or whatever it is. And then we'll see what happens. But it's crazy. That's what we just heard. So it's good to Elizabeth Warren for bringing that up.
The Americans with interests down there, they couldn't be more false. What we're doing is maintaining a U.S. strategic interest in the Western Hemisphere.
In October, Besson announced that the U.S. Treasury had already directly bought pesos, a first, and would provide Argentina's central bank with a $20 billion currency swap, giving it dollars to keep the peso propped up.
Argentina has had over several decades numerous bailouts, but President Trump is picking winners and losers based on ideological preferences and who he likes.
If he loses, we are not going to be generous with Argentina.
Besson,
you hear that? You hear that? We might as well. That's probably a good place to cut out of this one. We can go and we'll see these now. Let's see if we can put these on the screen for you. Let me see if I'll make this a little bit less zoomed in. Let's see here. This is where Trump says, what's the benefit for, he's asked, what's the benefit for America in sending $20 billion to Argentina? Trump says that he really likes their philosophy and will only send $20 billion if Milei wins, right? So let's take a look. I might have these out of order. There's a couple of them that I wanted to take a look at. Let's see here. No, that's this one. Let's take a look at, no, we can do this one first. Let's take a look at this one. Make this bigger on the screen. Put it at the beginning. Let's take a look at what he's asked here.
So it's a little bit like that with, if you take a look at Argentina, if the president doesn't win, I know the person that he'd be running against, I believe, we probably have the person. A person is extremely far left and a philosophy that got
again. Did you hear? I know we're nitpicking here, and it's ridiculous of me to try to nitpick everything that the guy says because none of it makes any sense. But he says that we know who it is, and then he says we can find out who it is. Like, he can find out through the CIA who's going to be running. But then he goes on to say that it's a far left-wing opponent. So do you know who it is? Do you not know who it is? I'm confused here because you just said you do, and then you said you don't. You could find out, but now you're telling us about the person that you're going to have to find out about. Oh, I don't know.
Probably have the person. A person is extremely far left.
We probably have the person, meaning like my team probably has the name of that person somewhere, right? That's what I'm getting from that. But then goes on to say that it's definitely going to be a left-wing person.
A philosophy that got Argentina into this problem in the first place. So we would not be generous with Argentina if that happened. If he loses, we are not going to be generous with Argentina.
So that's an outright threat by the President of the United States, basically saying if Argentina puts anybody else in office, if they elect anybody democratically, then they're not going to get the aid, they're not going to get the assistance that Javier Milei would have received had he stayed in office. So again, trying to put his thumb on the scale, trying to affect what happens in elections in other countries, right? Like, we've been doing for quite some time down there. But again, this is just blatant, out in the open, said in front of cameras, in front of a team of people without a care in the world.
Now, what's the benefit for United States?
Now he's asked, what's the benefit of the United States? And we'll listen to his response.
in helping this way Argentina?
Just helping a great philosophy take over a great country. Argentina is one of the most beautiful countries that I've ever seen.
So he went on to say that he didn't like this unknown left-wing person's philosophy, and that philosophy got Argentina into the problems that it's in, but now says he does like Javier Milei's philosophy and wants to install that, even though he is president, and Argentina is still seeing the massive problems under Milei. Like, again.
And we want to see it succeed. Very simple. I mean, we don't have to do it. It's not going to make a big difference for our country, but it will in terms of South America.
Well, that's great. I'm sure that the farmers are going to love to hear that that extra $20 billion on top of the first $20 billion is going to have no impact, no effect on our country whatsoever. Not only that, but apparently China buying all the soybeans from Argentina now is apparently going to have no effect on the U.S. farmers. I'd love to hear the U.S. farmers' response to that. Any farmers in there? Any maggots in the crowd? Any liggers in there? Any trolls that could answer for some of these questions? Just kind of curious what you guys think of, if you know any American soybean farmers and what they think of this $40 billion now going. Just curious if anybody knows any.
Argentina does well, you're going to have others following, and a lot of others are following.
Right, so that's his threat for election interference. And then he's asked here about $20 billion going to Argentina as he's threatening to withhold federal funds from New York City if Mondani wins, which, again, I don't think that the president has line item veto authority over whether or not New York City gets its federal funds because the person he doesn't like won the fucking election. I don't know. I'd have to go back and read through my mini constitution, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say he doesn't have that fucking authority. But here he's asked how that's America first, right? Withholding funds from well, I don't know if he's asked that, but this is what's posted here. How is this America first, which is a great point? Giving $20 billion to Argentina while threatening to withhold federal funds from New York City. Let's see what he has to say in this clip.
So it comes through the White House. The funding for New York and for every place comes through the White House. And I'm very generous, and I was always very generous with New York, even when you had opposition there, but I was always very generous. But I wouldn't be generous to a communist, a guy that's going to take the money and throw it out the window, because you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. And we're not going to let somebody get into office and squander the...
Remember, he's talking about Mondani, as in the same fucking breath, the same press conference, he's talking about $20 billion going to Javier Milei, the fucking chainsaw-wielding maniac that has bankrupted his fucking country. But go on.
Taxpayer money from this country. We're not going to let it happen. So it's a little bit like that with, if you take a look at Argentina, if the president doesn't win, I know the person that he'd be running against, I believe, probably.
And we just heard this part.
Probably have the person. The person is extremely far left and a philosophy that got Argentina into this problem in the first.
Yeah, we just heard that part. Let me see if this goes on. Yeah, no, that's Venezuela. Let's see. So we did all of those. So yeah, that's Trump admittedly going in front of the country to talk about make America great again as he's withholding funds or threatening to withhold funds, federal funding to one of the cities that he is presiding over as president of the United States, while going on to say that he's more than happy to continue to send billions and billions and billions of dollars to Argentina as it's actively hurting and decimating our farming industry here in the United States. Right. And that's not all, because he's also sending the CIA and B-52's into Venezuela, as we've been reporting on this show as well. Maduro, we talked about on the show how they've ramped up their military activities, how they've been deploying different weapon systems throughout the country, how they've been talking about how they will defend their property, they will defend their homeland, how they're fucking taking these Venezuelan fishing boats that are being blown out of the water, one just the other day, killing another 6 people. But yeah, let's see what he says here. This question, why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And then we'll get into a couple of these other clips. There's one here from Preston Stewart, a good video describing what these questions are talking about, what he's being questioned about. So we'll get into that after to give us a little, to fill us in a little bit. But let's see what his answer to this question. Again, question, why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And then he's questioned as to what authority the CIA in Venezuela has. Let's see what he has to answer for these questions. This is the first one. Let's go to the beginning, make it big for you guys, put it on the screen. All right, let's go. I appreciate it.
Why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela?
And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged?
Well, I can't
drug
do
busts in
that,
the
but
Caribbean?
I authorize for two reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America.
Again, why immediately this fucking reporter, whoever it is, I'm not sure who it is, doesn't say, well, sir, we know that to be absolutely false and not true. Like, we've heard this before. We've went and done the research. There are still very many people locked up in these Venezuelan prisons, so it'd be absolutely impossible for them to empty their prisons. But do go on again with this bunch of bullshit that you've been reciting for the last 4 years, 3 years, whatever.
Came in through the, they came in through the border. They came in because we had an open border policy.
Yeah, the open border that Biden had, when there was no border patrol, there was no security at any of the checkpoints, when, there wasn't patrols by the border patrols being done at any of the, open areas. All of that was just shut down. We took down all the fencing. Nobody was at the ports of entry. No dogs, no weapons, no nothing, no police were there. We just opened it all. And apparently all of these people came in unknowingly.
And as soon as I heard that, I said, a lot of these countries, they're not the only country, but they're the worst abuser. And they've entered they've allowed thousands and thousands of prisoners, mental institution, people from mental institutions, insane asylums, emptied out into the United States. We're bringing them back. But that's a really bad, and they did it at a level.
Again, this is an answer, as this is the justification he's using as to why he's unleashed and allowed the CIA to go and operate freely inside of Venezuela and send warships, B-52's. He's killing people left and right. I think that's 30 something people that he's now killed in these airstrikes on the Venezuelan fishing boats.
Probably not. Many countries have done it, but not like Venezuela. They were down and dirty. And the other thing are drugs. We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela.
So that's, again, his answer to the question as to why he sent to Venezuela, authorized the CIA to go into Venezuela. And this is where he's asked, let me see. This is, no, it's not that one. Is it this one? Is it this one? Yeah, this is this one right here, where he's now asked, does the CIA have the authority to remove Maduro? Because we know that's something that was reported by the New York Times. That's something that Maduro and his administration have been really afraid of. They've been really aware of, Marco Rubio, the things that they've said inside of this government as to wanting regime change. So again, this is just kind of growing exponentially by the day here. So let's see here what his response is to the question as to whether or not the CIA has authorization to take out Maduro.
Does the CIA have authority to take out Maduro?
Oh, I don't want to answer a question like that. That's a ridiculous question for me to be given. Not really a ridiculous question, but wouldn't it be a ridiculous question for me to answer? But I think Venezuela is feeling heat, but I think a lot of other countries are feeling heat too. We're not going to let this country, our country, be ruined because other people want to drop, as you say, their worst. They have given us their worst.
I would just like to point out, ladies and gentlemen, that wasn't a no. Okay, that was not a blatant and obvious no. Of course, I didn't send the CIA into Venezuela to take out Nicolas Maduro. That's not what he said. I just would like to point that out.
They've loaded up our country with prisoners, with mentally ill people that are seriously ill, criminally ill, and we're not going to take it. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things. And I can tell you, we've taken care of the sea. There's nobody, and we're watching. We're watching.
Does the CIA have authority to take?
Does he really think there's only been 5 fishing boats? Let's just hypothetically say these are drug boats with cartel members. They are carrying contraband. Does he honestly believe he's taken out all 5 or 6 boats that have left any of the ports trying to bring drugs into this country? He's taken out all 5 of the 20-foot fishing boats. He thinks that's it. He's gotten them all. All right. That's not in any way delusional through by any stretch. But let's see what else he says. I think that was it on that one. So why don't we say we hop into, again, a lot of people asking about the B-52's. So why don't we say we hop into a little bit of this Preston Stewart video titled American Bombers Send a Message to Venezuela. Again, we only need to listen to the first couple minutes to kind of give us the accurate depiction of what's being done here. And then we'll see if we can move on to some of our some of our other topics here. I appreciate it, guys. If you just joined me, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 15K, and it's only with your help that we can get there. So please, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that's contributed so far. But as you guys all know, I make sure to give you guys a shout out. I make sure to highlight and thank you for any super chats or, super stickers or any milestones that are sent in throughout the show. I do that at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around. All right. Appreciate it. Let's get into this.
3 B-52 bombers off the coast of Venezuela as a show of force, which prompted Venezuela to scramble its lone operational F-16. Now,
we sent 3 B-52's into, I believe you just said, Venezuelan airspace, prompting Venezuela to send up their only F-16. Now, as I've been saying on this show repeatedly, as it relates to a lot of different conflicts throughout the world, it's inherently dangerous to have two military factions, especially ones that don't care for each other, in that close of proximity, whether it be training, whether it be exercises, whether it be reconnaissance missions. It doesn't matter. It is inherently dangerous to have a B-52 flying anywhere near where there's F-16s flown by people that may not be fucking friendly. Because this is a good way to start World War III. Right, to have a B-52 have an accident. The United States doesn't want to admit that it's an accident, so it blames fucking Venezuela. Next thing you know, we're at odds with Venezuela. They're sending up rockets. They're sending up F-16s. I think they only have one, so maybe they're only sending up one. But whatever, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, somebody on the coast takes a pot shot at a B-52. Somebody accidentally sends up some fucking, anti-aircraft missile, whatever it may be. And you can see how quickly that this thing is going to, could possibly kick off. So it's inherently dangerous to have the militaries operating within this close of proximity to each other.
Now, this comes less than 24 hours.
This is the latest strike. This is, I believe, the 5th or 6th strike now taken part in by the United States on Venezuelan fishing boats. This was just the other day. I believe this is where they killed another 5 or 6.
After the United States carried out its 5th lethal strike in the Caribbean, and amid brand new reports that President Trump has authorized the CIA to conduct lethal action inside of Venezuela.
Now, did you hear what he said? The CIA authorized to take lethal action. Right? It wasn't part of the question being asked, but that does not mean that those weren't the explicit instructions given to the CIA. So I'd be very curious as to where Preston heard that specific part of this story.
That's a lot. Now, look, on October 10th, I'll own it. I said this is going to escalate any day now. And I guess technically it hasn't. We're still seeing the same strikes being carried out against drug boats in the Caribbean. But my God, everything is trending in this direction of a larger war. B-52, show of force, don't see that every day. Now, starting with the strike that was announced yesterday by President Trump, he said, quote, "Under my standing authorities as Commander-in-Chief, this morning, the Secretary of War ordered a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel affiliated with a designated terror organization, conducting narco-trafficking operations in the Southcom area of responsibility."
Now, Preston goes on to make a similar point that I've been making here, where it's like they give us the most bland and the most opaque information possible without giving us specific details. Like they haven't come out and said which gang, which narco-terrorist group that these people are affiliated with, right? So that information hasn't been released, which would go a long way into telling us they actually do have some intelligence. But because they have yet to release any of that information or give us any of those details, one can assume that we are just willy-nilly striking any fucking 20-foot fishing boat that we see to try to justify or to try to scare Venezuela somehow. I think he goes on to make a similar point here.
Just off the coast of Venezuela. Intelligence confirmed the vessel was trafficking narcotics, was associated with illicit narcotics networks, and was transiting along known DTO route. The strike was conducted in international waters, and 6 male narco-terrorists aboard the vessel were killed in the strikes. No U.S. forces were harmed. So a key note there is they again said this is a vessel affiliated with a designated terror organization. What we're seeing consistently, and I feel like this is important, they're not naming the terror organization. Now, we've got some pushback from the Department of War, Department of Defense here, saying we know exactly who is in these boats when we strike them. But there has been reporting as of late that at least one of those boats, they knew who was in there, and they knew it was Colombians, not Venezuela.
As we reported on the show the other day, remember when the Colombian president came out and said, hey, assholes, just so you know, that last boat that you struck wasn't Venezuelans, it was Colombians, you morons. Right? Remember when we played that on the show?
Not Venezuelans, but more on that here in a minute. Now, the B-52's, it's been a day when looking at Venezuela. B-52's, F-16, CIA, what more do you want? So just a couple hours ago, we got notification that 3 aircraft, call signs Bunny 01, Bunny 02, and Bunny 03, so incredibly intimidating, I know. This is according to Newsweek. They were observed on extended flight patterns from Louisiana's Barksdale Air Force Base in a striking show of force aimed at Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. They say the U.S. government has not released any official statement regarding the purpose or duration of the deployment, leaving the mission's objectives publicly unconfirmed. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. I mean, we do this a lot, shows of force. It's just a show of force with B-52s in Venezuela amidst all of this other stuff. Like, that's new, that's notable, but that's clearly what they were doing. They say the aircraft remained visible on public flight tracking sites. The flight profile is consistent with long-range training and deterrence patrols routinely conducted by B-52s across the Caribbean. These missions often test endurance, navigation, and joint coordination with regional partners while remaining within international airspace. They say, however, the proximity of this particular patrol to Venezuelan territory and its visibility on open tracking platforms suggested a deliberate signaling exercise intended
to send a clear message to say we're here, we can be here at any moment. Again, just an escalation, a show of force by Donald Trump, by Pete Hegseth. You can see how close to Caracas they actually came. And like I said, whether it was a training mission, whether it's reconnaissance, whether it's just an exercise, it is, again, inherently dangerous to be doing this stuff within this close proximity to a nation that, again, is looking at you like you're an aggressor, right? Like you have, like you're dangerous to them. It's inherently dangerous. It's almost like they're baiting Venezuela to make some sort of move so that they can justify even more action.
Reinforce U.S. reach and readiness in the region. So again, definitely a show of force. We wanted Venezuela to see this. I would argue they wanted everybody to see this around the world, or at least in the region. It definitely got Venezuela's attention. We got notification across a number of different channels that their lone operational F-16 was launched in response. Now, a couple key
I gotta say, it's off topic. Well, not off topic, but it's an aside. But I just gotta say, it is fucking incredibly embarrassing to have one functioning aircraft of any type. I'm sorry. I wouldn't even send it up at that point. That way, it's not even reported that the lone functioning F-16 that you do have was sent up. I'd keep that fucking thing under wraps, keep that in a hangar somewhere looking nice, and just, I don't know, just do something else. Just don't let people know that you have one functioning F-16. But like I said, that's an aside.
It's here. First off, it's an old F-16. It's the one that's operational. And of course, one F-16 does not pose a massive threat to the United States.
But it could kick things off and it could lead to a much bigger conflict, right? That F-16, I'm sure, is capable, has the fucking equipment and has the ammunition to do some serious damage to any number of our fucking aircraft. Had we, if they get them in the right position. I'm not saying the pilots are going to have the experience to do so, but, somebody gets lucky one time, somebody gets up there, throws out a fucking, a SAM, and a fucking an AIM missile. Aside, whatever it is, I don't know. But, if they get one strike on there, you can see how this would, it'd make this a much worse situation very quickly.
Military, it is something. And I think just the fact that these two countries have their aircraft in the air at the same time is just another step up that escalation ladder, right? It's one more circumstance where something could go wrong, mistaken identification, maybe one flies into an area they're not supposed to be in, and all of a sudden we've actually got a real incident here.
See what I'm talking about? Just by accident, by mistake. We're not talking about intentional, deliberate attacks or strikes. Just something by mistake could be enough to kick or set this thing off, right? That's what we're talking about. That's what happens when you get militaries together. That's what happens when you get, militaries within this close proximity doing exercises or, practicing, whatever it may be. That's why it's always coordinated between militaries when they are going to be within certain distance of each other. And it's, it's communicated and stuff.
Another key note is my understanding that F-16 was not airborne until the B-52's left the region. I have to dial in that timing exactly. But from what I've seen so far, it's not like the B-52's were in that kind of holding pattern off the coast of Venezuela, and
it's probably Venezuela and Maduro doing something similar to a show of force, basically showing the Venezuelan citizens that they have some sort of protection, or at least some of them got to see the F-16 flowing around, to make it seem like they have some protection. They aren't going to just, let these planes within a certain area and not send some sort of defense up there. So this could be, again, a show of force to show that these, to even show the United States and the B-52s that, look, we will send something up, but we do have something to send up. But again, this is just two people trying to show how big their dicks are between Maduro and Donald Trump, and it could lead to some serious conflict and death from innocent people, in this fucking pissing contest they got going on.
Out by the F-16, it does sound like there was a gap between when they were both in the same space, which is important when we're talking about this is just a show of force exercise. The last thing you want is a show of force to turn into a kinetic operation that escalates into a larger war. So hopefully there's a little bit of deconfliction there.
Right. So again, that's just a little bit of Preston video talking about the B-52s, giving you a little bit of information of the proximity, how close they got to Venezuela, the response from Venezuela, and just how quickly this is kind of being ratcheted up with each new strike on a Venezuelan fishing boat, with each new B-52 sent over, with each new warship sent over, with each new New York Times article talking about Marco Rubio and Donald Trump wanting to install some regime change. Like that's what we're dealing with right now. So let's see if we can hop out of that one and hop into our, what I believe is the last story that we got. Hopefully we get enough time for it, which is Russia failing absolutely miserably once again in another armored attack where Ukraine just handled themselves impeccably against T-90s, against other armored vehicles, against motorcycles. We got a few different videos to take a look at here. So I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. I appreciate everybody that supports. Let's see if we can get into just a little bit of this. This is a military show video. Putin's invincible T-90 tanks lasted less than a day. This was put out yesterday, has about 372,000 views. And again, this is the military show. So let me see if I can put this on the screen for you guys, and we'll get into a little bit of this. It would help if I actually put the right one on the screen for you guys to watch, which would be that one. So my apologies. Let's see if we can start this one over.
Ukraine has been destroying Russia's tanks by the bucket load. A staggering 11,256 of them have been taken out as of October 14th, according to Ukraine's Ministry of Finance. But Vladimir Putin, in his infinite wisdom, thought he had it all figured out.
Remember that at the beginning of the war?
Just destroying the Soviet-era tanks, the ones that were meant to burn through.
Like, that's the scene from the beginning of the war, from Russia's original armored advance that they thought was going to go all the way to Kyiv, that was going to take down the government, was going to take over the country in less than 72 hours. And this was the scene left behind after they got their asses absolutely kicked by every babushka in the fucking on the street in the country. Were ready and waiting. And again, this road armored column, not very suitable for what you're trying to accomplish here. But again, we go on.
Ukraine's ammunition rather than make a real dent in its defenses. Putin was keeping Russia's best tanks away from Ukraine. Finally, Russia's leader unleashed those tanks on Pokrovsk, and in no time at all, Ukraine proved that they were no better than the tanks that Russia had already lost.
So you just heard this was calculated. This was very much prepared. The T-90s were kept in the rear. They were kept, in fucking storage, basically, to make sure that they were ready for these type of attacks when they were, ready to be unleashed, because they thought they were just going to overwhelm the defenses. They were going to be so, capable on the battlefield and so much more superior to anything else that the enemy had, that they were just going to roll in and roll through of these defenses that they had to. And again, everything but that happened.
Best tanks for a year, only for Ukraine to crush them in minutes. For almost a year, Russia carefully stockpiled every T-90M tank that it was building, knowing that it had special plans in place for those tanks. That's according to David Axe, writing for Euromaidan Press, who says that Putin was planning a major mechanized assault on the Donetsk Oblast with Russia's T-90Ms. Those tanks were supposed to finish off the last of Ukraine's resistance, allowing Russia to finally claim the key logistical city of Pokrovsk that Putin originally thought his troops would take during the summer. Russia's soldiers failed. The T-90Ms would finish the job. And Putin had every reason to believe that the T-90M was the right tank to finally take Pokrovsk. After all, it's Russia's most modern battle tank, and has been hailed by Putin himself as the best tank in the world. Russia's leader said as much in June 2023, with TASS reporting Putin as claiming, "It can be said today that the T-90M Proryev is the world's best tank. As soon as it approaches positions, no chance is left for anyone or anything. It fires into a longer range and more accurately, it also has better protection." Keep that quote in mind.
I was going to say, keep that in mind. We'll see how that worked out for him.
Ukraine proved it wrong on October 9th in devastating fashion. The T-90M's reported specifications certainly seem to lend credence to Putin's claims. Army recognition says the tank packs the kind of punch Putin claims it has, thanks to a 125mm 2A46M4 smoothbore gun.
I'm surprised to hear it's a smoothbore gun. I don't know if anybody else is surprised by that, but I think it's because what he's about to bring up next, because it has the capabilities of firing rockets as well, but I could be wrong on that one.
Capable of firing both standard ammunition and anti-tank guided missiles. Depending on the types of round used, the gun can hit targets at a range of up to about 13,120 feet, with its missiles traveling even further, 16,400 feet, thanks to a laser beam riding based guidance system. Add a PKT 7.62mm coaxial machine gun into the mix, and you get a tank that can shred through infantry and destroy almost any armor that it comes across, or so Russia claims. It's also a fairly agile tank. The T-90M can hit a top speed of around 37.2 miles per hour.
Love how they're building up the tank here. They're giving you all the stats, all the details, all the commendations received by Putin and all, just to get into the story of how they were absolutely obliterated in less than a day.
And can travel for 341 miles before it needs to refuel. Russia has the option of carrying a pair of diesel fuel tanks under the hull's rear, which allows for refueling in the field.
Wait, do you get more velocity? Is that true? More velocity from a smoothbore? Rifled barrel, more accuracy, long distance. Tanks with rifled barrels, scary. Yeah, for some reason, I always thought it was the opposite. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. Most tanks have smoothbore guns. The UK's Challenger tanks are rifled. Is that true too? I thought most of today's tanks carried rifled guns. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. I appreciate you guys being involved, though. Let's see if we can get on with
Field
this.
and possible extension of this maximum range. Protection comes from the Relict system, which is a form of explosive reactive armor that's supposed to protect the T-90M's front and turret from...
Right, so we're just talking about this. This is the same stuff that at the beginning of this fucking full-scale invasion, that the Russian tanks had rubber instead of the ERA, the explosive reactive material there that they were supposed to have, that, you know, rocket-propelled grenades and stuff kind of bounced off it. It exploded on the outside, so it caused less penetration to the hull. Well, that stuff was actually not being filled with the actual explosive reactive material. It was actually being filled with rubber at the beginning of this full-scale invasion. So that's just another way. We're not too sure if this is actually the technology they claim it to be, or if it's just made to look like the technology they claim it to be.
Blasts. Russia also installs a QNet armor kit onto the tank's hull and rear, which is designed to protect the T-90M against rocket-propelled grenades. It all adds up to an impressive tank, at least on paper. Putin's problem is simple. What looks great on paper doesn't always end up being able to perform when it's put to the test on the battlefield. In the T-90M's case, a lot of firepower and protection against explosions doesn't mean much when Ukraine brings so many different types of weapons to a fight. Still, Putin thought he had the right tank for launching a new mechanized assault near Pokrovsk on October 9th. This assault would see Russia reverting to type after spending the summer sending small groups of infantry to infiltrate settlements around Pokrovsk. Russia's target, Axe explains, was
So listen to how he describes the battle, right? Listen to how he describes their tactics and techniques, and then we'll go into this next. The Preston Stewart, the gentleman we just watched about the B-52's, has a video also about this large armored assault. And the way he explains it, the tactics being used are spot on, the same exact. So that's how I know we're kind of getting good information through these videos. So just wanted to kind of fill you in on that so you don't think you're getting bunky information.
Village of Shakova, and he'd amassed an intimidating force. The village, which is located about 12.4 miles north of Pokrovsk, was to be subjected to 36 Russian tanks, including plenty of T-90Ms and armored fighting vehicles, in addition to 40 motorcycle troops. Axe notes that Shkova is also an anchor for Ukraine's defenses that lie east of a 24.8-mile salient that Russia managed to carve through Ukraine's defenses in the Pokrovsk direction during the summer. Russia's objective was clear. If it could overrun Shkova with this mechanized assault, it will be able to embed its troops into the village. With fortification complete, Shkova could then be used as a launching pad for future assaults that would take Russia closer to and eventually into Pokrovsk. On October 9th, that mechanized force launched its attack. The outcome was brutal for Russia. Ukraine was prepared for everything that Russia was going to throw at it on October 9th. Shkova was already home to Ukraine's 225th Assault Regiment. Their numbers have been supplemented by operatives from the notorious 1st Azov Corps, which spent the latter part of the summer coordinating the retaking of several settlements near Pokrovsk from Russia. Those two units worked together to construct a defense that would overcome Russia's mechanized assault.
Let's go.
The assault came in waves, as the 1st Azov Corps recounted in a telegram post in the battle's aftermath. The enemy carried out offensive actions in several waves and from different directions, the group said. Initially, groups of motorcyclists...
Well, listen, make sure you remember this. The enemy carried out offensive actions in several waves and formed different directions. Initially, groups of motorcyclists advanced, followed by columns of armored vehicles, tanks, and armored personnel carriers with infantry, right? So then we'll go on. We'll just play another minute of this, and we'll go on to the next one that kind of gives you a little bit more information about the attack.
Advanced, followed by columns of armored vehicles, tanks, and armored personnel carriers with infantry. That seems like a Putin-approved approach. Rather than sending the tanks and armored vehicles in first, Russia sent in its vulnerable motorcycle troops to soak up Ukraine's ammunition. The idea may have been to leave Ukraine's defenses
like literally the definition of meat grinder, right? So we'll just send in the guys on the unarmored bikes, the guys in the open. Hopefully they'll kill those guys on the bikes, and that'll take up most of the Ukrainian ammunition so that the armored personnel carriers and the infantry behind them could have better success. Meanwhile, basically just sacrificing the motorcycle group. But let's see if we can get into this, because I know I'm running out of time here. See if I can get into a little bit of this. This is about the same assault. This is Preston Stewart, the one we just watched, and this is Russia tried another large assault again, and it was defeated. So let's see if we can take a look at this.
Why? North of Pokrovsk, for the second time in a week, they launched what appears to be a battalion-sized assault with armored vehicles, resulting in at least 12 of those APCs and tanks being destroyed and around 100 Russian soldiers being killed. I don't know.
Again, over 100. I think the last report was like 150 or so, 140 or 150 Russians that were killed in this advance, in this attack. Again, you can hear the number of vehicles that were taken out, the number of fucking tanks that were taken out. It's amazing. It really is amazing that, they haven't learned from their mistakes, and that Ukraine still has the capabilities that it has after so long being in this fight with, minimal help, really.
Seems like it hasn't worked for a long time. It didn't work when they tried this just a couple days ago, but here it is, trying again. Now, we've got a bunch of footage coming out of that sector right now, some from Azov and some from the Ukrainian air assault brigades we're going to run through here. But to give you an idea of what just played out a couple days ago, they say on October 13th in Dobropilia, the enemy made another attempt to conduct mechanized assaults on the positions of the defense forces of Ukraine in the area of responsibility of the 1st Corps of the National Guard, Azov. The enemy, using forces from 3 motorized rifle brigades and 1 Marine brigade with military equipment, conducted offensive actions trying to break through the Ukrainian defense. In total, 17 armored combat vehicles and 1 tank were involved in the offensive.
17 combat vehicles and 1 armored tank, right? How many made it?
The enemy's tactics remain unchanged. In the first wave of the offensive, motorcyclists advance, followed by...
You hear that? So that was the exact same thing that we heard in the last video from the Azov battalion, who again were engaged in this battle, talking about how the motorcycles came first, followed by armored personnel carriers, followed by tanks with infantry, right? Listen.
Armored vehicles with infantry on board, using electronic warfare systems to suppress the drones of the Ukrainian defenders. The columns intended to deliver infantry to the settlements, who, after landing, were supposed to consolidate and later begin offensive actions to capture the specific settlements. That all failed. It looks like a lot of the vehicles were destroyed. The infantry that did dismount were subsequently hunted down and eliminated by Ukrainian drones, artillery, mortars, etc. They say as a result of the defensive actions, 9 infantry fighting vehicles, 4 armored personnel carriers, 3 tanks, and 3 motorcycles were destroyed.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Estimates vary between the different Ukrainian sources providing intel here, saying anywhere from 78 to 100 Russian soldiers were killed in this assault. They say the
a partridge in a pear tree.
enemy had no success. The situation remains under control. And we actually got some more details of these Russian offensive operations from a Ukrainian mill blogger called K. Mashevets, where he dials into exactly the tactics being utilized in this sector of the front north of Pokrovsk. He says the situation in the Dopropili and Pokrovsk sections remains quite difficult. And I do want to stress that. You know, we've seen a couple of these pretty suicidal Russian attacks in recent days, which is new and unique and costly, no doubt, for Russian forces. And we're seeing the Ukrainian defenders able to stop these and inflict pretty heavy losses. I don't want that to overshadow the fact that this is still a very, very deadly sector with a significant number of Russian forces massing and continuing to attack in multiple directions every day. The Pokrovsk area in general is an incredibly deadly sector, not just for the Russians on the attack, but also for the Ukrainians in defense. So I don't want these reports, which are significant, right? A lot of what we're seeing day in and day out are relatively small scale engagements. It's, you know, drones hunting down Russian attackers by 2s and 3s at a time. And of course, Ukraine is not on the offensive, so they are largely manning defensive positions in Pokrovsk. None of that is really unique day in and day out. These straight up battalion-sized armored assaults are unique, and they are heavily skewed right now in Ukraine's favor in terms of losses. But again, let's not lose sight of the fact that Pokrovsk is a very deadly, very tense.
But just think how demoralizing that must be for not only Putin, but for the commanders, right? They've been probably planning this. They've been building whatever they can, scraping together any materials they can to, I don't know, get any of the T-90s into, I don't know, battle-ready positions, to get them to, you know, to mass them all up in order to unleash them in the, you know, whatever these attacks are that they're calling, put together armored personnel carriers, send in these huge brigade size, you know, battalion size attacks with, you know, armored tanks, armored columns, armored assaults, basically, and go in there and just fail so miserably and get utterly wiped out and destroyed, not in one attack, but 2 different large scale armored assaults within a week of each other. It must be just absolutely demoralizing for not only the Russian soldier, but also the hierarchy as well.
U.S. sector of the front right now. Mashevets says, quote, "It was quite indicative, not just that during 2 days, October 9th and 10th, there were fairly massive and focused attacks and assaults, up to 5 different attempts, but also how they were conducted." And note, he's referencing the first wave of these battalion-sized assaults back on the 9th and 10th. There has since been another that we just documented through Azov and the air assault brigades. He said at first the enemy, acting in small infantry groups, tried to covertly reach the eastern outskirts of Shkovo, operating through the groves from the side of Poltava and Popov Yar. Alternatively, they managed to get a foothold.
And this is the same region, just kind of, you know, just to fill you guys in on where on the map this is. This is the same region that we've been discussing where the Russian troops have been separated and, you know, ultimately basically surrounded in that area. And they were trying to make breakthroughs and they were trying to, you know, flank the Ukrainian military in order to relieve the troops that have been, you know, they're not actually technically surrounded, but they are definitely cut off from the other main force of their troops that they had. So this is basically all in that same area that this fighting is taking place, which is why Preston is accurately calling this such a horrible place, such a meat grinder that's chewing up people at a rapid rate on both sides.
For a small assault group east of the road leading to Shkovo. After that, a fairly massive push followed, by current standards, with the forces of several assault companies using not only their standard armored vehicles, but also reinforced by several tanks. The number of armored vehicles involved is estimated differently by various sources, but it clearly amounted to at least 12.5 units. He says, at this moment, the final results for the battle for Vladimovka are unknown. However, it is obvious that at least 1 to 2 enemy battalions involved in this direction, especially in their assault units, suffered quite significant losses.
I mean, 2 battalions is, again, a lot different, as he was just explaining. It's a lot different than the attacks, a lot different than the tactics that we've seen being deployed, recently by the Russians. It's a lot more armor. It's a lot more people. It's a lot more concentrated in a certain area than we've seen recently. So, again, as he's accurately pointing out, a change, basically, not in the not in the armored assault tactics of Russia, but in the wider spread tactics that they're using in the area. There seems to be a change. I don't know if they were trying to, again, affect some major breakthrough to try to, you know, change the lines up or anything, but it seems to have failed miserably. Yeah, right up the tailpipe. That just reminds me of fuck. Why can't I think of it? Liar. Reminds me of liar. Why don't you just bend over and I'll take it right up the tailpipe? Sorry, you got me on that one, Paul. My apologies. All right, so just this last thing that I want to end on, and then I'll get you guys out of here to enjoy the rest of your evening. It's just basically calling out this asshole as we've made a regular event on this show. You know, we've seen a lot of this kid's mug and a lot more of his beanie over the last month or two, which is a lot more than I'd like to see of him. But, you know, it's just so easy to call out his bullshit. It's just so easy. And he makes so many videos that it's hard to, again, stay ahead of the bullshit. But let's see if we can put this on the screen for you guys. And let's just see if we can hear Tim Pool, through his own words, tell everybody, including his own fans, his own base, that he does not give a single shit about free speech. If it doesn't have to do with him, if it doesn't have to do with one of his white friends, then he does not care. Again, showing you how soulless, you know, how the lack of principles, the lack of fucking morale from these assholes. They're just spineless hacks is all they are. And this is Tim, again, talking about the State Department and Marco Rubio revoking visas because people did not show enough affection, did not show enough emotion, or were overly critical of Charlie Kirk after his death. Again, people being deported, visas being taken away, sent out of the country, merely for things that they have said that the right did not agree with, that went against the opinions of the right. Thank you, JD. I see you in there, brother. I see you in there. So let's get to a little bit of this. And like I said, I'll let you guys get out of here maybe a couple minutes early. We'll get into thanking people, that were not nice enough, kind enough to send a Venmo over, whether it be $1, $2. That's all I really ask for. And then we'll get into thanking people that were fabulous enough to contribute here on YouTube. I thank everybody on Facebook. I thank everybody on Twitch and Instagram as well. Please make sure you're sharing this out to your friends, family members, anybody that you think may enjoy this. Again, we're trying to grow the stream. We're trying to grow the show, and it's only with your help that I'll be able to do that. So, ladies, say we dive into this bullshit, and we'll see what Tim Pool has to say. Again, from his own mouth, going to talk about how he does not give a shit about free speech, the First Amendment, or the Constitution in general.
The State Department is deporting people because they smack-talked Charlie Kirk. And I say, yeah, sure, whatever, man. I don't care. You don't get to just be here.
I mean, that sounds like like an ultimate strong proponent of free speech, of the First Amendment, right? That sounds like somebody that's ready to stand up for free speech, regardless of who it's being ripped from. Right? This guy will stand on his beliefs. He will stand on his principles. He'll take his goddamn beanie off and he'll stand on that if he has to, because I heard he's really short, so he might have to stand on that beanie. But anyways, he's ready to stand. He's ready to put 10 toes in that fucking grass. He's ready to touch the grass. He's putting the fucking feet in the dirt, and he is going to stand on everything he believes to defend free speech. No, he's not. He's just not.
Whenever you want. And Marco Rubio has the right to revoke any visa. The law says this. At his discretion, he can do it.
At his discretion? Like, if for any reason whatsoever? Let's see here. How would you even look that up? How would you look that up? What's a good way I can look that up? State Department rights, revoking visas. Let's see here. State Department revokes criticisms. U.S. revokes visas over comments made about Charlie Kirk. But where can I find like the actual, like what are his actual, the laws that he has to follow? Is this it right here? Did I hit it right here? When to revoke a U.S. visa. There are 4 circumstances under which you may revoke a visa. Okay, here we go. The 1, unavailable. Okay, so there's 3 actual circumstances, because the first one's unavailable. First one, the individual is not eligible for the visa classification. Okay, that doesn't apply because the person already had a visa. The visa has been physically removed from the passport in which it was issued, or Okay, so that doesn't comport here. That doesn't comply here. The individual is subject to an IDENT watch list record in system messages for an arrest or conviction or driving under the influence, driving while intoxicated, or similar arrests or convictions DUI that occurred within the previous 5 years pursuant to 9 FAM 403-11-5B, paragraph C below. Okay, so none of those so far. Nothing to do with that, okay? Let's see here. When you may not revoke a visa, you do not have the authority to revoke a visa based on suspected ineligibility or based on derogatory information that is insufficient to support an ineligibility finding other than revocation based on driving under the influence. A consular revocation must be based on an actual finding that the individual is ineligible for the visa. Okay, under no circumstances should you revoke a visa when the individual is in the United States or after the individual has commenced an uninterrupted journey to the United States other than a revocation based on driving under the influence outside of the DUI exception. Revocations of individuals in or en route to the United States may only be done by the Department's Visa Office of Screening, Analysis, and Coordination. Revocation procedures. Notify the individual. Required procedures, notify the individual. So that's all what happens afterwards. Revoking visas in sensitive cases. Okay, maybe this is different. Keeping department informed in high-profile cases. You should be alert to the political, public relations, and law enforcement consequences that follow a visa revocation and should work with the department to ensure that all legally available options are fully and properly assessed. The revocation of the visa of public official or prominent local or international person can have an immediate and long-term repercussions and our political relationships with foreign powers and on our public diplomacy goals in a foreign state. The visa law must be applied to such persons like any others, recognizing that certain visa categories, particularly A and Gs, are not subject to the same standards of ineligibility as others. Hasty action, however, must be avoided in such high-profile cases. And you should seek the department's guidance before any visa revocations unless unusual or exigent circumstances prevent such a consultation both within the missions and within the department may result in a decision that the department rather than the consular officer should undertake the revocation, since department revocations pursuant to the secretary's revocation authority provide with more flexibility in managing the relevant issues. Diplomatic and official visas. So I'm seeing nothing here that says because Marco fucking Rubio or Tim Pool or the State Department don't like what you're saying, don't agree with your opinions, that gives them the right to just outright revoke somebody's visa, especially when they're already in the United States. As I just read, it seems like if they're en route to the United States or in the United States, it makes it that much more difficult for you to even attempt to revoke their visa. Sorry, I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole, but I knew Tim Pool was lying, so I wanted to make sure that we called him out effectively and accurately on that lie. So I appreciate you guys. And thank you. I appreciate the 3.99 contributions. Look like the 99 pound. You got a 99 fucking cent. I appreciate that. I'll get to thanking everybody in just a minute. Let's see what other bullshit he's got to say here.
Now I'm going to hear all these whinging and whining from people who are going to say things like, don't you believe in free speech? Shut up. You don't believe in free speech. I'm not going to sit here and have this debate with you.
Whoa. That wasn't even the question you just fake asked yourself. Like you just fake asked yourself in a dumbass voice if you cared about free speech. We didn't ask a fake question whether or not you should ask us whether or not we care about it. Right? Do you hear how you tried to get around that? Like, people are going to ask, well, don't you care about free speech? He tried to do it in some voice to try to mock and mimic the fucking anybody asking that question. And he goes on to say that the people asking the question don't care about free speech, not answering whether or not he does.
Discretion, he can do it. Now I'm going to hear all these whinging and whining from people who are going to say things like, don't you believe in free speech? Shut up. You don't believe in free speech. I'm not going to sit here and have this debate with you.
So because you're so unprincipled, right? You don't care whatsoever in things that you've, been espousing for, I don't know, some fucking teens of years now, that you're ready to just be like, even if the person asking you the question doesn't care about free speech, that's enough justification for you to be like, yeah, I'm ready to fucking do away with the First Amendment. I'm ready to do away with, all of the stuff that the Constitution affords us. Like just because you don't care about it, you see how he's trying to get around that. He's not answering the question himself. What he wants to make this fake argument with a fake person that fake asked him this question, so that he could put it on the other person. That doesn't exist in this situation.
me down and ban me in 2 seconds if you could. Your words mean nothing to
Tim,
me.
I would do no such thing. Absolutely not would I ban you, Tim Pool. You know how much content I would miss out on? Do you know how much fucking hilarity that I would miss out on looking at that ridiculously stupid beanie that must smell like absolute fucking baby diarrhea sitting on top of your head that's been there for the last 35 fucking years that still hasn't seen the 5-foot mark by itself? But anyway, regardless, do you have any idea how much I am dying to keep you on Rumble so I can continuously call out your bullshit to my lovely and fucking adoring chat and adoring fans and people that actually know the facts, that actually know what's going on in reality, that actually pay attention to the news, that actually know what you're saying is bullshit before I even have to call it out? Do you know how much we would miss out on? No, we don't want you canceled. I don't want you canceled, at least. I'll speak for myself because I would just not know what to do with myself if I didn't have you to make fun of and call out almost every single show. It would be heartbreaking. I would be devastated.
You don't get to come to our country, spit in our faces, mock those who were murdered and just received the Presidential Medal of Freedom and think...
No, see, that's the whole point. You actually do get to come to our country. I know about the spit in our faces. I know you meant that metaphorically, so I'm going to use that in the metaphorical term. They're not actually spitting in anybody's faces. But, you know, to come here and maybe demean some of the American way of life, to demean the government or maybe some of the businesses or the disparity in fucking, you know, pay scales, like they're not allowed. No, they are absolutely. And it's why a lot of people do come to this country, because they are afforded the right to say what they believe as long as it's not causing harm or inciting violence, you know, against anybody, right? So that is the reason, the exact reason we love this fucking country, and apparently why you despise it, because people actually get to come here and they get to say things that you don't agree with. And when you're not in power, you don't have the ability to just revoke their visa, kick them out of the country, deport whoever you want, beat, maim, rape, you know, fucking put into a cell at Alligator Alcatraz or any one of these fucking inhumane facilities that you guys want to put people in. That's not what we get to do. We get to come here and we get to criticize the government. You get to come here and speak your mind freely. You get to criticize and critique and make fun of people that just got shot in the fucking neck and posthumously were awarded this like ever meaningless Presidential Medal of Freedom that you might as well just fucking start wiping your ass with, because Donald Trump has basically shit all over that thing. That don't mean a motherfucking thing anymore. But again, we go on because Tim Pool here would like to tell you that, you know, the country that we all grew up in, the country that was founded by our forefathers and the country they wanted to see be put in place and the rights afforded to the people in that country that we've been afforded as Americans in this country. He doesn't want to see any of that happen. No free speech. You don't get to criticize. If you're getting a visa, you must do and say and act how we say and tell you to act. Otherwise, you're going to be shipped right back out. Because that's what America is to Tim fucking Pool.
We're going to let you just stay. So I literally don't care. I just don't care for these people. Politico reports, State Department revokes visas over Kirk criticism. The department did not identify the visa holders by name or specify what type of visas were revoked. The State Department revoked at least 6 visas from foreigners who publicly celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk on social media. The move has drawn criticism from free speech advocates.
Not against the law, nothing illegal. It may be uncouth. You may think it's disrespectful. You may not do it yourself, right? But that does not mean that you have, or the State Department, or Donald Trump, or Marco Rubio has the justification to, again, revoke a fucking visa for something that you did not agree with, especially in the same fucking show that we have just gone over. All of these right-wing MAGA freaks putting in the I love Hitlers and the gas chambers and all the racist and homophobic and bigoted bullshit that has just been released by Politico in their other article talking about young Republicans. So again, don't give me this fucking horse shit, Tim. All right. Stick it up your arse.
And prompted a legal defense group to offer free assistance to those affected. I'm really just tired of everything. Guys,
you seem like you need a break or something else. I don't know. But yeah, Tim, maybe you take a vacay, maybe get away from things, maybe just take your fucking beanie off for a couple minutes and give that fucking head a breather, right? Maybe let that scalp see some sunshine every once in a while, and you may not feel so enclosed and trapped in the space that you're in. All right, but that's enough of Tim Pool. I just wanted to make sure you guys hear from his own mouth that he absolutely does not give a shit about free speech, the Constitution, everything that they, supposedly support, supposedly, backing and stand for. It's all bullshit. It's all money-making opportunities. It's all, when can I say this that will get me the most clicks? When do I have to deny that? That'll avoid me the most, media attention that I'm not looking for. That's all it is, these assholes. It really is all that it is. So why don't we say we wrap it up for tonight? I appreciate you guys once again. Let me check in on the old Venmos. Oh, why don't we take a look at this? Let me see if did Mel send this over on the old emails? Let me see. Let me see if I can pull up that Midas touch thing about the missiles being shot, because I'm kind of curious if Donald Trump's going to be shooting missiles at me coming up. Trying to, again, it sounded like he was trying to do this in disruption of the No Kings, which they are absolutely petrified about. So everybody, make sure you're getting out there on the 18th. Make sure, again, you're setting up with friends and family. Make sure you know your roots. Make sure you know what the plan is for the protest that you're going to. I know a lot of them have kind of different things planned. Some of them are going to be in a single spot. Some of them are going to be marching. Some of them are going to be, a parade throughout the city. So just make sure you guys know what's happening in your area. Again, try to go with the biggest group possible, with the most friends that you can get together. If not, if you can't do that, try to meet up with people online, put up something up on Facebook saying, hey, I'll be at this rally. Anybody else, any like-minded people? And maybe you can pick a spot where you can meet up. And again, just so you have the most eyes on, the most people there to watch your back, just in case, as I said earlier in the earlier show, just a couple points. Make sure you're not lacking. Make sure you're not lagging at the end of the procession, right? If you're going to these things, if it's a rally type of thing that's going to be moving, or a parade type that's going to be moving, try to stay in the front. Try to stay within the front or the middle type of section. Don't lag in the back. That's when some of the bad actors may try to, again, stir some shit up. They're not going to do it with the large crowd. They are going to wait till maybe the crowds disperse, or some of kind of stray off course type of thing. But make sure you're as prepared as possible, whether it be for pepper spray, gas that might be put out there. Get your masks. I don't know, whatever mask may be suitable for that, but just be prepared. You may hopefully, and right hand to the sky, none of that has to come into play. You don't have to worry about any of that, and it's just kind of you went overboard. I'd rather you be overprepared than underprepared, but I just want to make sure that everybody's staying safe. Everybody's able to get out there with the people that you care about, with like-minded people, to express your opinions and your dissatisfaction with this administration and what's going on, and then also be able to make it home to your families and your loved ones at the end of the night. That's really what I care about. So what do you say we get into thank and say, oh, no, I wanted to pull this up. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, this is it. This is it. All right, so this is what Mel was talking about earlier. She nearly took the door off the hinges coming in here. Let me see. This is breaking exclusive. Trump may launch missiles from warships into California this Friday and Saturday as part of what is being described as a vanity parade, and to shut down portions of the I-5 during the No Kings protest. How's that for a fucking headline? How is that for a fucking head? The President of the United States is thinking about shooting. I can't even get it out. Is thinking about shooting missiles from a warship into California. What is happening? What? Let me see what this says. I gotta see this. Let's see here. Trump may launch missiles. Sources tell Midas Touch that the White House will shut down portions of the I-5 for Vice President J.D. Vance's Marine Corps spectacle during No Kings protest, triggering chaos, gridlock, and outrage amid the government shutdown. Sources tell Midas Touch that the White House was shut down. We just read that. Midas Touch has learned from several sources that the White House has plans to close major sections of the Interstate 5 for this Friday and Saturday. The Trump administration is apparently finalizing plans for 2 days of events under the pretext of the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Marine Corps. Sources close to Midas Touch described the closure as a part of a, quote, vanity parade that may involve Navy warships shooting live missiles into Camp Pendleton as a show of force. What the fuck? What? No, we're not talking about Venezuelan fishing boats. We're talking about Pendleton, which ain't that far away from me. Good grief. J.D. Vance is expected to be president, intends to lead the parade. The show of military force and I-5 closures if the plan is completed, will also be taking place during the No Kings protests, which are expected to be very large across California cities and the rest of the country. The major road closures coincide with the federal government closure, leaving thousands of Marines and federal employees unpaid, even as they are ordered to support the festivities. Interstate 5, Southern California's economic backbone, carries more than 80,000 daily travelers and moves $94 million in freight every day between San Diego and Orange counties. Just north of Oceanside, over 65,000 vehicles cross the county line daily, half of them work-related. Experts warn the closure could spark gridlock stretching from Dana Point to Del Mar, with delays of up to 8 hours in each direction. The ripple effects could cripple emergency response times, business operations, and regional supply chains, costing an estimated $8.2 million in lost visitor spending per day. Local officials say the event was announced with scant notice, no coordination, and zero transparency. Unconfirmed reports suggest Pentagon may authorize live naval ordnance demonstrations off the Southern California coast during the celebration. Governor Gavin Newsom's office confirmed to Midas Touch he is working with local partners to minimize what could be a massive disruption and reckless disregard for California's infrastructure and communities. His press office commented on the story on X, writing, "This would be an absurd show of force and totally uncalled for during a government shutdown." Government Newsom directly responded to Midas Touch story as well on X. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance think that shutting down the I-5 to shoot out missiles from ships is how you respect the military, urging administration to put aside your vanity parade. The White House has yet to confirm or deny the plans, and neither Navy nor Marine Corps has provided risk assessments or community safety information. I was going to say, usually, I haven't been here that long, but as far as I've been told, like, alerts will go out, like you'll be notified when they're doing like live, because we're very close to the camp they're talking about. So you'll often hear live fire demonstrations. You'll often hear a lot of booms and explosions going off. But typically there's, if not a notice that went out on some website that you can look up, there's, I think, a multitude of different websites and apps that you can use that will tell you exactly what's going on, whereabouts it's happening, and what you're hearing, so that people don't freak out. So again, how that's going to happen, if they're going to do live fire drills without, prior warning to people in the area, is kind of crazy. Residents near Oceanside and San Clemente have expressed alarm at the lack of communication, especially given the proximity of dense suburban neighborhoods to Camp Pendleton's firing ranges. That's, not to give away too much, but really, really close. The timing adds insult to injury for service members. With Congress still deadlocked, much of the federal government remains unfunded. President Trump signed an executive order Wednesday directing the Pentagon to ensure active duty military personnel are paid despite the federal government shutdown. The very Marines that are being celebrated have turned into political pawns. Jesus Christ. The Southern California braces for the fallout. One thing is clear: the vice president's vanity parade risks turning a patriotic commemoration into a logistical and political fiasco, leaving taxpayers, commuters, and troops caught in the crossfire. Editors note this story has been updated to include a response from Governor Newsom. That's what we read. Holy shit. And you thought it couldn't get any fucking crazier. Just when you thought you couldn't get any fucking stupider, you go and do something like this. Well, again, probably, I don't know, probably would be under most circumstances, but if they're doing it under the guise of a military parade or a military exercise to honor the 250th birthday of this or that, Karen, they may have some fucking loophole to get around that, right? Like, because I'm sure tanks aren't normally allowed in the streets of U.S. cities, but, because of the parade that they held, like, I'm sure there was some workaround. I'm not sure if that is a one-to-one, but that's just fucking nuts. That is just fucking nuts. So we'll keep you updated as, that is extremely close to the area that I am located in. So we should be getting some sort of updates or information as to whether or not these live fire fucking missile drills are going to take place. So I'll be sure to keep you updated on that. And thank you, Mel, for bringing that to my attention. That's fucking absolutely insanity. Insanity. But let me see if I can get you guys out of here. I will hit you guys on the Venmo. See if anybody was kind enough to contribute on the old Venmos tonight. So thank you, Nancy. I appreciate you. And thank you so much, Teague. I appreciate you guys, everybody. And again, there's Venmo up here. You can take a picture of it, send you directly to the Venmo. I don't ask for much. A buck or two goes a long, long way. And that's really all that is required. So Nancy and Teague, thank you for your kind contributions on Venmo. And let me see if I can get into the fine people over here on the YouTubes. who were nice enough to contribute, such as Cam. Shout out to Cam. Thank you for being here for 4 months, my dude. Thanks, Boston Brian, for keeping the truth alive. I do try. I hope I do succeed. I know it's often frustrating, and I'll say this, speaking for myself, it's frustrating that the channel doesn't grow or isn't growing at the the rate that we'd all like to see, or at least I'd like to see. But as long as I'm doing a good job with you guys at telling the truth, giving you guys the facts, not misinforming, disinforming you guys, and making it entertaining enough for you guys to come back time in and time fuck off, show and show again, whatever what I'm trying to say. You guys keep coming back all the time, and I'm very happy for it. I should have just said that in the first place. But thank you, Cam. I appreciate you. I'm really bad at taking compliments if you guys haven't noticed already. And this huge, look at this, Yvonne. You fucking beauty. You fucking beauty. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much for the 20 gifted memberships, Yvonne. That is huge. And make sure, as I said before, any one of the 20 memberships that was gifted to any of you guys in the chat, that you're thanking Yvonne for her kind contributions. And also, I have also labeled Yvonne the queen of the email. She's not only the Kush queen, but she's also the queen of the email. Good Lord. She consumes more content than anybody on the planet, I have to say. So thank you, Yvonne, for keeping me informed, and thank you so much for your kind and generous contribution. Shout out to you. Shout out to Barefoot Bear for becoming a new YouTube member. Thank you so much, Barefoot Bear. I didn't know that. I don't know you could be a Barefoot Bear. Do they have shoes? Do they have bear shoes? No, I'm just playing with you. But I appreciate you becoming a new member. It's always good to see new people signing up here on YouTube and elsewhere, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram, whether it be on Twitch, or here, like I said, on YouTube. I really do appreciate it. So thank you, Barefoot Bear. Thank you, Bicycle Mike. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you. Hey, Brian. Hey, Lobsters. Right back to you, Mike. Like I said, wishing you all the positive vibes in the world from not only me, but from everybody else in the chat. That goes for Alvin as well. I know he said he was in the ER as well earlier, so I hope he's doing all right. I hope he made it out without too much damage being done. So to Bicycle Mike and everybody else, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Shout out to Bicycle Mike. Thank you. Shout out to Vicky as well. This is who they are, is locker room talk. Right. No, I'm sure that's what they're going to try to get away with as well. Like you said, it's just they're already trying to say that these 32, 33-year-old guys are, just having this like college room banter in their freshman year at university, right? But we're not falling for it, Vicky. We know better. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and congratulations on the 5 months here. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Again, these fools bother me none. I bet the blokes are on Grindr later. Well, you're 100% right. Considering with all the reporting that's come out lately about just how many Republicans are actively involved in, getting their grind on Grindr, I'll just say. And we've known that, all the CPAC events, there's always reports that come out no matter where CPAC is being held, that the calls for male prostitutes and the calls for like trans prostitutes and prostitutes in general always spike in the area that CPAC is being held in, or any one of these other conservative fucking groups having their parties. Like Grindr's always getting blown up and shut down, like everything. They're going all out at all of these events. So again, these freaks, these people will be exposed as they should be. But thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate you. Chaz, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate that. Thank you, Rachel. I'm late. Is it still news here that Seth Moulton is planning to challenge Ed Markey in the Senate next year? Markey should retire, but fuck Moulton. Is it still news here that Seth Moulton is planning to challenge Ed Markey? It is news. It is news, because I have not reported it on the show. So I appreciate you, Rachel. Congratulations on 7 months. Thank you so much for joining us. Doesn't matter if you're late. That's why YouTube's great. You can always go back and watch it at any time. So thank you for chiming in. Thank you for your comment, and I really do appreciate you being here. But I'll have to check into the Seth Moulton, Ed Markey status and see what's going on there, so I can be a little bit more informed. But thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate it. Thank you so much again, Yvonne. Big night for Yvonne. I just had to say this before I left the chat. You're the only good-looking face. The other men are just candidates for vaginal dryness. Oh, fucking Yvonne, you are the fucking best. Just no filter whatsoever. Oh, you crack me up. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh, what would I do without you, Yvonne? I don't know. But thank you so much. Shout out to you. Shout out to JD, JP. Hold on. Is that the same person? Isn't JD JP? I thought it was JD. Is it JP Mandel or JD Mandel?
We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great.
We got JP and JD here. So I appreciate the both of you, JD, JP. Thank you so much. Same thing for Simon. Appreciate you, my brother. I really do appreciate it. Now, would that be considered 99 quid or pence? That's 99 pence. Quid would be dollars. That doesn't make any sense. It'd be 99 pence. I got to get it right, Simon. One of these times I'll get it right. Please don't take back the 99 for me fucking that up. I appreciate you, brother. Shout out to you. Thank you, Jim. Looks like a visa holder could kill someone, but only get removed if he drives away from it while drunk. Right, exactly. So it seems like they put a heavy emphasis on basically drunk driving. Like seemingly one of the major and only ways that you could possibly have your visa revoked is if you do something involving a DUI, drunk driving, obviously something extremely violent, murder or something like that. So you're 100% right, Jim. Definitely not because you said something mean online or something that, again, Charlie Kirk wouldn't like or Donald Trump wouldn't like or Tim Pool doesn't like. That's not, again, justification as we read. And again, you can look this up yourself. I looked this up here. This is 9 FAM 403.11 and just kind of goes over the federal code and regulations as to what the State Department can do and can't do as far as revoking visas. So again, we went straight to the source to make sure we got you the accurate and up-to-date information. So thank you, Jim. Thank you, Wayne. Oh, let's go, Wayne. Fucking A right, brother. Shout out to you, Wayne, for the 10 gifted. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. That's fucking awesome. I do appreciate that. Even coming in again at 14 months with the No Kings. Let's fucking go. I appreciate you guys as always. Anybody that's getting out there and to close it out, Rachel, how open are you to guest suggestions, guidelines? I'm always open to guests. Like I said, I've reached out to a shitload of guests that I've been suggested to. It's just, it's tough to hear back. Again, I always bring up the fact that I don't have a huge platform or even a large platform. I am still a very small fish in a very large sea. So it's hard to get, especially busy people, to take the time out to, to fit into their schedule, to talk to a channel with only 13, 14,000 subscribers. As much as I appreciate it, as much as I am, so happy to have even that many follow the show, it's just not very enticing for a lot of these bigger players. But yeah, I am open to any and all suggestions as far as guests are concerned. I'd love to have Graham Plattner on. We had to reschedule once again with Kat Abaguzela, so that's going to be the 28th now instead of the 21st, because I believe she had to take some time off because, like I said, she's been in the trenches working her ass off, so absolutely no complaints there. But yeah, so I believe it's now the 28th that we'll be speaking to Kat Abaguzela. But there's a ton of people that I'd love to speak to. And I think, if we can grow this platform, if we can get a lot more subscribers, if we can get some more enthusiasm behind this platform, I think it will be easier for us to get some of these people that you guys are suggesting on the show. So I think we've done a great job so far with, Harry Dunn and, some of the other people that we've had on the show, some fantastic people, why am I drawing a blank? Michael Fanone. We've had some fantastic people on the show. Some of the great people that I had the opportunity to travel to Ukraine with. We've had some photographers. We've had some great journalists on. Jesse Dollamore. We've had Pastor Ben on, the boys from the Vanguard. So we've had people from a lot of different spaces. So I'm open to any and all suggestions is a really long-winded answer to that question, Rachel. So I apologize and appreciate it at the same time. But again, I'm going to let you guys go. I'll let you get on with the rest of your night. I really do appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for my sister's birthday. 2 o'clock here. 2 o'clock on the East Coast, 11 a.m. here on the West Coast for our Thursday show. Make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell. Make sure you're you're joining the chat. Make sure you're engaging. Make sure you're liking and sharing and subscribing and all that good stuff. But I will let you guys go. I thank you so much for all your kind contributions, whether it be on Venmo or here on YouTube. Make sure you're fighting. Stay proud, stay loud, get out of your seat, get into your street. We're going to find our streets. We're going to get into that streets the 18th for the No Kings, and we're going to do it in the most safe and responsible way possible so that we can raise the most attention, the most awareness, and raise, hopefully affect the most change as we possibly can. So I thank you guys very, very much for all of your contributions, and I will see you tomorrow, all right? I'm Boston Brian. This has been Blunt Politics. Please hit that like on the way out. It's free. It takes 2 seconds to do so. Subscribe on the way out if you are not already subscribed, and I will see you wonderful cats tomorrow, all right? I'll see you. Peace out, guys. Till tomorrow. We'll meet again, I promise. Peace. Thank you, Paul. Very nice of you. Thank you so much, Paul.
Like we always do about this time.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful, give yourself some round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely.
There's no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist. I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.
Always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me, he's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers. He'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
What in the hell was that all about? He says rectum damn near killed him. You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch. We've endorsed JP, right? J.D. Mandel, and he's doing great. Never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general, and they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys, but it was too late. Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice. Each year, approximately 13,000 people are killed in car accidents in Thailand.
Shifting production to Thailand and to Vietnam. Yesterday, the hard word for me. Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
I am the chosen one.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job!
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Obama.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off!
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones. Is there anything worse than white people?
I'm just an average guy who read public documents where the elite said they were going to enslave us and destroy America. And I'm not going to be like yuppies scum and deny the threat to my country. I'm going to fight back.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.